Everybody. This is Annie and Elsten, your new midday hang right here on San Diego's number one sports station. It's 97.3 The Fan. Full powered show today. 4 hours of Annie Heilbrunn. Not three, not 2.5. Full 4 hours.
Craig,
How are you?
It's great to be here today. There is,
Which
of
one
course.
Yeah, of course. So we've got a new setup, and of course, as soon as there's a new
There
setup,
is a lot happening in
something
here
goes
right
wrong.
now.
Yeah.
And this is what they say when they say no good deed goes unpunished. Because
Indeed.
we wanted to be there for our boy Ben. We said, Ben, we'll come in, we got you, we'll talk to you. And now we started our show in complete chaos. But that's fine, Ben. That's just fine, because I know you'll return the
Total
favor
chaos.
at some point. Okay.
Absolutely.
We're blaming Ben for that entire thing. That sounds good. Sounds
this
good
is
to me.
Ben.
Ben,
Poor
it's your fault.
Well, Ben,
How
we
dare
really
you.
should blame Woods and Paul, because they're the ones who ran off to go
but-
play
you know what?
baseball.
Everybody but Frank is getting blamed.
Exactly.
Sounds good.
Frank, you're in my target too, buddy.
No, it's great. It's Thursday. Yes, I made it here on time.
Excited for this.
Excited for 4 hours of we have a good show today, right, Craig?
We've got a great show set up today. I'm very excited for today's show. We have a guest, which is now becoming a Thursday thing, apparently.
Love it.
But that's fine. It's a good thing. We are joined at 11:15 by the head coach of San Diego Wave FC, the great Casey Stoney.
Awesome.
Will make, I believe, her 97.3 The Fan debut. I'm not sure that she's been on any of the shows before. I hope she's on our show all the time this summer. This is one of the big stories of the summer to me, is San Diego Wave FC, third season coming up, won the Shield last year, best team in the NWSL. Unfortunate semifinal result, had the home path to the NWSL Cup.
You were at that.
Yeah, I
How-
did the PA for it.
Right. How deflating was that whole situation?
Very.
I mean, because and you had
Deeply
that it was packed with Wave fans.
It was.
Mhm.
And, you know, the two teams that were there deserve to be there.
Yes.
The real tragedy of the final was Megan Rapinoe going down 2 minutes into it with an
Right.
injury that ended her career. And that was going to be her going out game.
And the respect that she commands, and everybody was going for her. Like, no matter what side you were rooting for in that game, you wanted to see Megan Rapinoe finish her career in a great way.
Absolutely. She's one of the greatest American soccer players of all time. She's been a leader and a firebrand for the women's national team. She's really been somebody who's helped change the culture around women's soccer and has stood up for what's right for years to come, and was honestly playing very well for OO. And she played well in the semifinal against San Diego. And to have that happen, that was a bummer, but it's one of those things. It was a really cool night, and congratulations to Gotham FC. They're the champions.
Yeah.
They won the cup. They beat Oil Rain that night. So it was neat to have that. It was a great crowd, but everyone there also knew what it would have been if just a week earlier Wave had won. It would have been every seat all the way to the very top of the top corners of Snapdragon. It would have been every single concourse pulsating with standing room only fans. And they would have had the week to themselves as the story in town going for the cup. So, I mean, missed opportunities. I've seen them so many times. And here in San Diego, I think they're something we're very much used to.
But you said it before, you don't want to look at that Wave season. Yes, it was a great season. Yes, they got so far, but ultimately you don't want to give them that honorary, honorable mention and be like, pat them on the head and say, hey, but you had a decent season. You had a really nice season. No, they wanted to get to that next step. They wanted to be the ones playing at Snapdragon Stadium. And they really felt like that was in their control until the very end there.
Yeah. It's, you had to bring that up, man.
Well,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna have Casey Stoney on, so
I know.
we just set the scene. No, but she's done an excellent job. I remember their first year, not that long ago, here in San Diego, and getting to meet her for the first time and getting to talk to her. What a brilliant soccer mind, but also very relatable. Seems like someone that these players and athletes really love having around.
Yeah, she's an incredible coach. She's done a great job, and such a big part of the franchise as well, and developing the rosters. So we'll talk to her at 11:15. Plenty of things have happened for San Diego Wave FC as well. So all of that coming up. That's in the second hour of the show, but good to set that up right away at the top. Also coming up at 12 o'clock, our new regular segment, the 12 o'clock Sports Fix. There's a simple concept behind this segment. It'll be, our third day doing it now. It is that everyone's got a busy day. We're right there in the middle of your day. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., but 12 o'clock seems to be that time, right? That you're maybe on your lunch hour. You've got that opportunity to open up the laptop if you're at work and tune into the show on YouTube, or you're in your car because you're literally going to go get lunch. You're out on the move. So why not have right there a digestible review of everything that's happening in the world of sports right there? A little bit newsy. Music underneath it, moves fast, get you all the local information every day. Have that emphasis on all of our local teams, all the way from Padres to the Wave, to the Seals, to the Sockers, to the Mojo when they start bumping and spiking and setting and get their season going. Whoever it is, have college, high school, we've covered it all every day on the San Diego 12 o'clock Sports Fix, plus the NBA news, the NFL news, everything you need in one segment and less to get you caught up and kind of reset on what's happening on each sports day, as we're here Monday through Friday, 10 to 2. So that's coming up at 12 o'clock. We'll wrap up the show maybe with a more even extended edition of Ask Us Anything. That's where we'll open up the phone lines. We'll open up the YouTube chat. I mean, the YouTube chat's already open, but we'll look at it and read from it, which we already do, but we'll do it even more. Point being, you ask us questions. You have questions, and we'll give you answers, and that'll be happening at the end of the show.
Adam Paul in the YouTube chat, a whole big book can be written about all the missed opportunities in San Diego sports history. Now, would you rather have that book or a book of renderings? Possible renderings that could have occurred in San Diego with all the little people strategically placed and the dog.
That's my guy, Alex Padilla's domain. I'm not going to take away Alex's renderings book.
Alex Padilla has done a great job with that.
I think he already has created that book. I think it's on sale on eBay or something. So, I appreciate that. Well, here's where I feel it's a natural jumping off point for a sports talk show. You brought up the semifinal loss. Mm-hmm. The Sockers had a semifinal loss last year as well, coming in as the number one team, losing in overtime at home on a golden goal. I mean, it was a valiant way to die, but it was a loss. But what is your most disappointing single San Diego sports moment? You've lived here, you've been a fan, you've been a reporter. You got to kind of take the reporter hat off a little bit and feel those emotions. You got to let those emotions flow. Let the dark side flow. But what's a moment that top minds for you when you think about your most disappointing San Diego day?
I don't like these questions because I don't have that great memory. Everything kind of flows together for me. I just feel like I do these and then later on I'm like, oh man, I would have said this. Like yesterday we were talking about athletes who are great interviews. Joe Musgrove. How did I not think of Joe Musgrove? But anyways, I digress. The Chargers game, was it the Ray Rice? Was it the 4th and 29? Was it, what was it that I'm thinking of? Was it Vincent, the one where?
You're talking about Marlon McCree?
2006 playoffs?
The one against the Patriots where they're
No,
14-2?
I'm talking, I think it was 2000, what was it, 2009?
Yeah, Ray Rice, 4th and 32. Hey, diddle, Ray Rice up the middle.
Yes, it was
he was still short by a yard, by the way.
Okay.
Still didn't make it on replay, but whatever.
It was one of those, it was a Chargers playoff game where they were supposed to keep going. They were just supposed to keep going. And it was like, what are you guys doing? That was like way in your hands. You had that game. There was no issues. You know, they were supposed to beat, I can't remember who they were playing. But I remember I was reporting on that one, and I was like,
the Jets?
The Jets!
When Mark Sanchez came in here, Antonio Cromartie was too afraid to tackle at the end and just kind of ran with the guy.
I was at that one.
That was the one, and it was like, no, this was supposed to be, this was supposed to be a good playoff run. Us reporters were supposed to continue on. I believe I had the next flight booked for whatever. We had to cancel all of that. It was just, come on.
We were both in the press box that day at Qualcomm Stadium.
Okay. Yeah.
I was covering that, I think, for 619 Sports, actually. Okay. And I remember my seat being right below the Jets, whatever that group was. Yes. It wasn't a coaching staff, but it was like front office people, like maybe the assistant GM or something, or the director of player personnel. And they were sitting there, and I just remember them coming in at the beginning of the morning, really down.
Yes.
Like, honestly, like down.
You felt it.
And just kind of resigned. And then they had that crazy bank heist energy as the game was going on. Do you know what I mean? That feeling of not just I'm excited, but I know we don't deserve this. You know what I mean?
Weird. It was like, a weird vibe.
Oh my God, we're really going to get it. Oh my God. You know, like that feeling, which I know San Diego fans have had plenty of times in their lives as well when we were the underdog. But yeah, the Chargers were the favorite that day.
Yeah.
Cromartie falling down.
Nick Kading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weddle's in my mind as well. I feel like there was something in there that Eric didn't like going back on that game. There are so many when it comes to the Chargers. There are so many.
Sam Flaming says, pick a year, Annie, happened for a decade. Yeah, exactly. This is why it runs all together for me. Yeah. Okay, I know that was there, and I know it happened, and I know there were some crazy plays, but thank you both for filling in the blanks for me there.
There's no question in my mind what this is. And I feel very much vindicated in that as soon as I said it, the chat just started going boop, 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 boop. 2006.
Okay.
2006 was the Chargers' year. The Chargers went 14-2.
Right.
The Chargers were number one.
It's the best team they've ever had.
Had
MVP.
Stacked with talent.
MVP.
LaDainian.
Right? Everything. Yeah. They had it all. It was our year. And just like the wave, the road went through here. There was no getting out of Qualcomm Stadium on the way to the Super Bowl.
Which
you
was
had
filled
to beat
with
them.
fans.
And I know, the real ones know how much of an advantage Qualcomm Stadium was when an energized, actual Chargers crowd was inside it. Not the last 4 years when everyone knew they were leaving and the Raiders fans would be, 65% of the stadium. God, the last year, every team was 85% of the stadium because San Diego had left the team. When this town embraced this team, there was nothing like it. And I remember being so confident that day. In fact, that day is burned in my memory. I don't have to tell the long version of the story, but my buddy Joe Sheehan, he's going to be on the show next week. National baseball writer Joe Sheehan. I've known him forever. And he and his buddies always have a thing. He'll come out to the West Coast in January for his birthday, and they'll do kind of a weekend together.
Yeah.
Where they'll go golfing and play poker at night. And they did literally a pub crawl on the day of the Chargers playoff game, going around Santa Monica and an air hockey tournament. What's the golf game with the spinny ball? Golden tee, a golden tee battle. Pool, etc. Right? All really white guy entertainment stuff.
Yeah.
And I showed up there so excited because we weren't even supposed to have a close game. The Patriots were down.
Right.
That year. This was going to be a romp, and everyone hates the Patriots. I hated the Patriots. Couldn't wait for this. And I show up that morning, Annie, and two of Joe's longtime buddies, completely unbeknownst to me, were diehard Patriots fans.
Ooh.
In their Patriots gear. And of course, in the morning, it was great. I was on the high side of that. We were the favorites. They were expecting to lose.
And then
the game happened.
The game started. The game kicked off.
The most frustrating game, start to finish. We all say Marlon McCree wins the game if he just goes down. We all know that. But Vincent Jackson stepped out of the end zone in the third quarter. Big old foot stepping out of the end zone. That was the touchdown as well, right? Every aspect of that game, third down conversion, third and whatever.
A fumble heard around the world. Yeah. All
of it, right? Rashay Caldwell, right? Rashay Caldwell, who was bad for us and then caught against us. All of it. Watching that from pub to pub in Santa Monica with two increasingly happy Patriots fans.
Brutal, terrible, tragic.
And then we spent that night, we're supposed to play poker and stuff. I was done at At the end of that game, I was done. I had no more sociality in me. That's still to this. It's like
to this
the
day.
worst sports day I've ever had is coming in going, we're going to have this really fun day. We're going to do all this stuff. Oh, and there's Chargers playoff game. Oh my God. I'm with two Patriots fans, one on each hip, as our team collapses in the most memorable way of all time.
And they're just celebrating like crazy. They love it.
Of course.
I see in the chat too, what about when the Chargers left? Well, yes, when the Chargers left would be a disappointing.
Yeah, non-game thing.
Yeah, non-game. I mean, that's obviously
that's probably the most empty I've ever felt in my entire life when it comes to sports.
Right. And so empty for the city. And it was a terrible time for San Diego. The Legion. I see a lot of people writing the Legion, and I know last year that was going to be the storybook ending, but
they did too. It's absolutely right. We should not leave them out. Shout out to Jesse and HB Funk. I was at the first time the Legion lost in the MLR championship at Torero Stadium. That was a memorable game. They lost to Seattle, literally having the ball carried across the line as in the last second. Like they got in that big scrummy thing and just, and it was just the power of men overpowering one another and the helplessness of that.
Yes,
to have the ball go over the line. That was that was incredibly disappointing. In my memory, and I didn't get to watch all of this year's championship, but I feel like it wasn't as heartbreaking a flow of game, more of getting beaten in a disappointing fashion as opposed to like heart-wrenching. But still, whenever you get that close,
I love what in the chat, that feeling of the air literally being taken out of the stadium all at once. I think he's referring to that 2006 game. But yeah, that was brutal. Chargers versus Oilers 1979. Yeah, sorry. I'm not recollecting that one, but I'm sure it was bad. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, though. But listen, from each generation, you will find, right? Yes. I think a lot of it is about when you get the scar.
Right. It's you remember that moment, just like that comment from Taper of the feeling of the air being taken out of the stadium. You remember that moment when you're like, ooh, this is not going to go their way. This is not going to end up the way we were thinking. And it's like that collective, every fan is realizing it. Everyone's just all together in that moment. There is such an energy to all of that, good or bad, when a team is in a stadium and everyone's, I mean, we remember in the playoffs at the postseason for baseball, where all the Padres fans had their towels and how powerful that moment was, singing all the small things and things like that, and how that just shifts the energy. And then you can go completely the other way too, where you realize, it's not going to be your year.
It's why people say, and they shouldn't say it, but it's why people say that there's a San Diego sports curse. It's because there have been so many painful moments in this city's history. Padres, World Series, Trevor Hoffman, Scott Brocious,
And there's something too, when everything looks right on paper, you looking at it and going, that is just, that's just not going to happen the way that it looks. It's too good for San Diego. It just doesn't sit right. But I don't know, one of these days, right? One of these days, I remember this past year doing a story for the UT on fans going into the Padres season. And they all recollect those same memories that you're just talking about, because they had been through years with the Chargers, or they'd been through enough years with the Padres where they were so excited, but they were also like, but we could also be cursed. It could also not go that way. Like, no one kind of doesn't have that in the back of their head, that this is very fragile territory, is what I'm trying to say.
You just got to play better. There is no San Diego sports curse. There's no ghastly vision holding its hand over the region. You shall not win. Not while I am here.
Oh boy.
There's nothing like that in the world. You got to play better. You got to come through in the big spots.
Yeah.
You got to deliver.
Yeah.
And when you deliver, you win. And once you do it once, you do it again. People in Boston for 8 generations thought that their city was cursed. And then for 15 years, every Boston team won every championship in every sport.
Once you do win, I believe that fully. You're just kind of encouraging what has happened before. So this is all really San Diegans know. They just know that there's disappointment in the end, most likely. There's disappointment on the way, right? But once you flip that switch and you start to believe, it's just like a team. Once a team starts winning, they believe that they can keep winning. They believe they can get out of any jam. They believe that they have that special, that touch, that magic, which is really just playing better. But it's that belief system, that mentality that you start to think, oh, okay, things are going to roll our way a little. We're going to be able to do this. We've got the team to do this and things like that. So it's exactly that same thing. You win a championship, you believe you're going to win another championship and another one.
Yeah. The only curse in sports is a bad owner.
Well, yeah.
A bad owner is a curse.
And bad or ignorant. I mean, that's also bad.
Yeah. If you have an owner that will never give up your team and is constantly going to run it badly, that's a curse.
Fish stinks from the top. The older I get, the more I realize that there wasn't a curse, but it was just bad ownership and bad, poorly run organizations in town.
Always. And as much as you can get mad at the managers and the players and the coaches and this and that, there's always someone higher on the rung that is enabling whatever is happening. So always keep that in mind.
Well, hey, look, I feel like this is a healing way to start the show. Sure, we're revealing pain, we're discussing pain, but within that pain, there's the catharsis of realizing we all experienced it together.
And should we sage? Should we sage something? Should we sage the mound at Petco Park?
Yes.
Or
they did that, right? Last year.
I did not know that.
They actually did do that. I have this. This was I believe. Listen, we broke this on Padres Hot Tub last year.
Okay.
We did. There was a saging ceremony that took place at home plate.
I am sad that I missed
that. In the middle of last season.
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you.
That is sad that we did that, in my opinion.
I am not kidding you.
I don't hate that. I think
super lame.
Baseball players are so.
That's so lame. That is so lame. That is so loser mentality. It's like, well, it's not us playing. It's just we got to do this. We got to break a curse.
Sometimes I think they just have to break their monotony of something. Yeah. They have to laugh a little. They have to.
Every day.
They have that cat. Remember when they had the cat?
Chicken bones on my bat. What is this?
I mean,
I always remember when they had that cat, and then that cat was like broken apart.
You're talking about last year, right? It obviously didn't help. Yeah. Didn't do anything.
Oh, yeah. Mike Clevenger's ridiculous ceramic cat.
And then one day the cat was like missing its limbs. It was yeah.
Give me some of that. Awesome. Let me use some of that. You got to believe in the voodoo.
Braden's over here.
Braden, if they ever
bleep you, Joe Boo, I do it myself.
That's right.
He would never sage the football field at Cathedral Catholic or any other place.
I'm sure it's been blessed multiple times by the priest at Cathedral, but I just the sage and the come on.
Well, that was an audio saging, is what we just did.
Sure, yeah,
right
I'll take
there.
It.
Hopefully that has cleansed all of your speakers or earbuds or whatever it might be. We are underway. Annie and Elsten here with you. Your new midday hang on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Don't have time to listen to
See, I have to be pro saging.
Why?
I got to at least be the pro saging space on this show. Annie and Elsten back with you at San Diego's #1 sports station and #1 saging station.
My sister would sage with you. She would run and sage with you wherever. So please tell me you're saging.
You said #1 saging station.
Yes.
You know, there might be a radio station out in Hamul or Campo that disagrees with you.
Now that I think about it, you're probably
there
right.
might be.
You're probably
if
right.
you go out to Boulevard, I'm sure there's a dude with an antenna doing sage broadcasts.
I don't. If you want to try saging, I don't hate it. If you've exhausted your other opportunities, or you want to start with that, I don't hate it. Could help.
So my wife is Filipina.
Okay.
And every New Year's, there is a process that takes place.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with the saging of the house. And the house is saged door to door to door and into every room.
Oh, so she does it.
And up and across and through every room.
I like it.
That happens. Also, you need to get 12 round fruits.
Now, I did see this on the Real Housewives. Lots of controversy over this, but like 9 lemons in a bowl, something like that. There's a certain amount of lemons that have to be placed out. What do you do with the fruits?
It's just 12 round fruits. They're in a basket.
Fruits.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it could be an orange, it could be a pomegranate, it could be,
And what do you do with the fruits?
Well, I mean, eventually you eat them.
But they have to be there while you're saging?
No, that's after. It's just they need to be there New Year's Eve.
Okay.
You need to have that in the house, and it's got to be there. And then you need to have some money in your pocket at midnight.
Oh.
And you need to go around the house with pots and pans and bang out.
This is awesome.
The old spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And you go room by room, bang, 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 and you bang out the old spirits. Now, usually I like to go to bed on New Year's Eve around 9:30 or so.
Yeah, same.
So I think we've reached a negotiated truce by which the East Coast midnight is sufficient time.
The spirits are going to allow that.
Right. Like let's see if the spirits will give us a break and leave at 9 instead of midnight.
They'll be like, you know what? We get it. It's tiring. We'll clear out for you. We're good.
Right.
We'll go find a new house.
Satan's Blowfish wants to know what cube-like fruits were not up for like the dragon fruit. It's far too many, like spirally things. That doesn't count as round, right?
I would not roll out with a dragon fruit. Do you just buy dragon fruits on the regular? I don't think about dragon fruits being something that I just shop for.
Just ask me for this is like fast money, which is something, you might hear later. Give us a non-round fruit. Right. Boom, dragon fruit.
Think about that.
Came right to mind.
But yeah, this is a great tradition. This is a great, I think that your wife is onto something. It doesn't hurt. It can only help.
Yeah, Rico Ramon Gonzalez in the chat says have to bang pots and pans for New Year's too. Charisma says our house didn't bang pots and pans. We just popped a bunch of balloons for our but it's loud noises. It's like,
they need to get out. You need to scare them out. They need to go find a new place to live.
A banana. You can't put a banana in the bowl. Mm-hmm. That's not a round fruit.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
Very much not round.
It's not round.
There's no part of a banana that's round.
Like an eggplant, you wouldn't put in the bowl.
Yeah, no. Also, not.
Is that not a fruit?
I don't think it's a fruit.
Is that a vegetable?
It feels kind of like a vegetable to me.
I like eggplant rollatini. Stuff's good.
We have saged the show. We've exercised our negativity.
Why don't we invite Mitzi in to sage the studio?
I mean, I don't see any reason why not, except for the lack of circulation. It might smell like sage for like three weeks in here.
You're smoked out.
It lingers.
You're gonna hotbox the studio. Nice.
Exactly.
It's great.
What smell are we trying to cover up, Annie?
I don't know. Smell of dust and
what's going on in here?
No, it just, I think it does need it has there's a smell of just men in here. It's just
Here she goes again.
Here she goes. See, the thing is, Braden, we can't smell it. We can't smell it.
Yeah.
No, I'm used to
But Annie can smell the man in the room.
The smell, stench.
Men. Yeah.
What is the smell of men, Annie?
Just not, just a little smelly. I just a little tinge to the nose.
A little tinge to the nose.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Does it smell like a yellow Hummer
It just smells like guys that have sat around and
Guys
you know,
being dudes.
right? Guys being dudes,
Yeah.
sitting on the couch,
Smells slightly toxic.
drinking their beers. Yeah, toxic, exactly. And Woods for some reason, and I love Woods, but Woods, there's some image of Woods, and I don't know what it is that I can't get out of my mind because I've never seen it. Hannah, bless you, Hannah, if you're listening, I'm sure she's seen it. That is just that's like kind of epitomizes what I'm thinking about in my head.
Well, I'm glad you didn't aim this at me directly.
No,
this
I'm going
time.
with Woods.
Yeah, Craig showered this morning. Okay,
A man funk. Thank you. Yes, yes. Satan's blowfish.
I try to bring the funk, but not that funk. Not
please
that
don't bring
kind
that
of
funk.
Not that kind of funk.
We are heading into dangerous territory.
Listen, like we can't smell the man funk.
No, I actually am very sensitive. So this is something I've learned about myself as I've put on a few years, but I've gotten more sensitive to like chemical smells. So if you were to come in wearing, like if you're sitting on a plane and someone they had gone in the bathroom and they had just doused themselves in some kind of perfume or something, I would be on high alert. My head would start hurting and it would be a lot. I'm not a big chemically smell person. Not that neither of you smell like chemicals, but I'm just saying.
I don't bathe in chemicals.
Yeah.
So.
Thank God. It's really starting to get like, do I need to back up just a little?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It needs just, I don't know. There's something about this place. It just needs something. I'm not sure what it needs yet, but I'm going to work on it.
Less crap on the walls.
Yeah, like maybe a little something added that's just not so.
The feng shui in this room is not.
It's
not there.
It's not working for me. One day you guys are going to come in. I'll have been here over the weekend, and we'll have like a wall, a statement wall with a different color, and some different kind of lights hanging around, and we'll just put some feminine touches on it. Is all I'm saying.
All right.
I'm sure you'll love that.
I'll let you do that live on my show on Saturday. You can spruce up.
There you go. I can do it while Braden's broadcasting.
I'll just be doing the show. What is Annie doing? We'll have one camera on Annie, and they'll just be on the sides. Like, what? Let's watch Annie clean and rearrange the entire studio live on a Saturday. People would tune in for that.
All right. When we come back, I want to clear the man funk off the Padres roster for 2024. We've got some guys who had some pretty funky seasons last year. Who can we clean up the most? Who would be the person that you would like to go through an extreme makeover the most? Their baseball side. The baseball side.
Yes.
We're just going to extend the metaphor right to the break.
Yeah, please specify on that.
Yeah.
It's Andy and Elsten. It's your new midday hang, cleaning the man funk out of your middays on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Everybody knows Tony Kornheiser, but to get him unfiltered, check out the Tony Kornheiser Show podcast. The iconic voice of PTI is a roller coaster of wit and wisdom. It's smart, it's funny, and it's his unique perspective on the sports world. Unleash your curiosity and join the conversation. Follow the Tony Kornheiser Show on the free Audacy app or wherever you get your podcasts. Can I wrap up the Sage conversation with one thing? Because
Sure.
a comment was made to me that I completely get. That saging is a cultural thing. It
Absolutely.
has a ton of tradition behind it. And whatever was done was probably done very respectfully and with a tradition behind it. So yes, I completely want to say that we are
The indigenous people of
respectful of that.
of
I've
this
completely,
land.
yeah. And it's a beautiful ceremony. I mean, I've seen it done and it's a beautiful ceremony. And so
100%.
definitely want to make sure that everyone's aware of that as we also just talk about it in the context of maybe the baseball season and things like that.
Hey, by a 2-1 majority, we are a pro-saging show.
Yeah,
at Annie and
exactly. We're going to sage
I don't mind
while
anybody else
while
doing it.
Braden is doing his first show.
I don't mind anybody doing that. But
When is the first Braden Suprenant show, Braden?
Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday.
It has to be. It's funny. It's like the show is on Sundays from 8 to 10, but it won't be on Sundays until after the Super Bowl. So until then, it'll be Saturdays, and this Saturday will be 11 to 1.
Saturday, 11 to 1.
That's
The
right.
debut of the Braden Suprenant show.
That is correct.
Can't wait to hear it.
Got a lot of great shout outs. So thank you to all of you that reached out about it. It was kind of cool. Had a lot of local, coaches in town reach out, and a lot of different members of the media give me text messages, and people at competing stations and at our station and all that sort of stuff.
Awesome.
So it was cool. Thank you to everybody that is excited about the show. It should be a fun time on the weekends, and some, like we said before, not just about me, but to give the audience a weekend local show is what we're all about.
100%. It's amazing.
Really cool.
13 hours live and local, Monday through Friday, and now weekend programming as well. 97.3 The Fan, we're stepping up. We're all grown up.
I was saying yesterday that Braden's probably going to take everything that he thinks is dumb about our show and just put it on Saturdays and kind of rip us, which I think would be a great segment as well.
That'd be fine.
Rip
Pretty
Annie
fine.
and Elsten.
Yeah.
This is the stuff they make me do that I
Grievance
don't really
corner.
want to do.
That's right.
Grievance
Yeah.
corner. I hate trades.
Yeah.
I
Soccer
don't mind
talk is
trades.
awful.
I just don't want to listen to Craig give another trade proposal.
I mean, I don't want to hear me give another trade proposal.
Well, now I'm kind of into it. So unfortunately, and I also, Braden doesn't want to hear about any Hall of Fame talk. Do not talk Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't
with Braden.
care. It doesn't. I just don't care.
fine.
I would love to visit the Hall of Fame. I think it's really
Yes.
cool. I'm really into history and museums.
Yes.
obviously, but the whole process of getting people into the Hall of Fame and all that, the politics.
It's broken.
I don't really care. It doesn't. Maybe when I turn 60, I can be super excited about arguing who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame and who doesn't. I don't care enough for that.
We look forward to that grand day.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk to you about Hall of Fame, Braden.
That's right.
Looking forward to that. All right, let me switch the conversation. We talked about San Diego sports disappointments to start the show. Then we talked about, in ways mystical or otherwise, trying to get things turned around here.
Yes.
So let us talk about our beloved San Diego Padres in this vein. There are plenty of players or aspects of the Padres that we would like to see turned around from 2023 to 2024. But if you had to pick, Annie, one player that you'd like would be the best for the team to get it turned around, would be most important for the club, where would you? There's no wrong answer here because there's plenty of places you can point. So no pressure, but who would you pick?
I would like to see Xander have a year that he has had before in Boston and that has been talked about with him for a while. I would like to see him feeling comfortable, just kind of dominating the way that he has in the past. My runner up, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you, would be Jake Cronenworth, because I think that if the top of the lineup is doing what they need to do, he can become a very dangerous weapon for you. And that is really, I think that's your best bet. The top of the lineup is performing like they are supposed to be performing. And like, as they say, the back of their baseball card says. And then Jake Cronenworth is also right there in the thick of it as another weapon, making that lineup deeper.
It's a great answer. I mean, there's a lot of good answers. Who would you pick, Braden?
For a bounce back year?
Yeah.
I really think, are we picking like somebody we want to have it happen or somebody we think is going to happen?
Who we think it would be best for the team to have happen?
What would help the team the most?
Help the team the most, I think, would definitely be Jake Cronenworth. I think with the amount of money they're spending on him. I mean, if he could play, and I know his production has gone down every year since 2020, and he had some bright spots, but if he could play anything close to 2020 for what they are paying him compared to the market nowadays, that would be a huge asset for San Diego. And all of a sudden it flips what might be a major detriment to a major asset for the San Diego Padres. I do think it's happened so many times, and you guys have seen it with new Padres that come in and they want to like show everybody that they could do it with the big contract. We saw it with Manny. We saw it with Eric Hosmer. We saw it for a lot of guys that ended up flipping it and turning it around very quickly. I think Xander Bogaerts in his second year, really understanding what the city is like, the organization, a better spring training, even though it's still going to be a little bit different with them going to Korea. The guy's a hell of a ball player. I could see him having a really, really good year in year 2 in a Padres uniform. Not to say he didn't have that great of a year last year, because he still had a pretty good year with the numbers, but I think Xander Bogaerts is going to have a great year this year.
Excellent answers for both of you. I think offensively, I'm with Braden, and that it's Jake Cronenworth. And it's as much because he just becomes an entirely different valued player.
Right.
I feel like I keep getting this, you don't like Cronenworth or you're anti-Cronenworth. It's because the reason people think that is because you have to, when you talk about Jake, point out what Braden mentioned, that the numbers, and use it as well, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, every line on the chart goes one direction only. For Jake, every single number, average, on base, slugging,
decreases.
It's all gone down year over year over year. But if he came back and went the other direction, then you look at the rest of the contract as potentially very valuable. Yeah. Or if nothing else, way more movable a year down the road when Jackson Merrill is right there after spending a year in AA, ready to come up. This is now something I want to manifest in the world as well. Him not being the opening day left fielder, like playing in the infield where he's supposed to be, having a year of development and ready to step in fully cooked and ready to go. So I think it's Cronenworth, but to facilitate the rest of the segment and discussion, I'd like to put in the other player that I think you have to throw into this mix. And I've seen in the chat a lot of people say Manny. We all want to see Manny have another MVP level season like 2022. There's no question about that. Him coming off of the tennis elbow procedure, hopefully that means he's a lot healthier this year, even if he has to start the year as DH. The only reason I'm not picking Manny is because Manny's bad year is still a pretty good year.
Yes.
Right? Like
completely.
260 with 25 homers instead of 280 with 34 homers.
His bad years are still years you would take on pretty much any lineup.
So I'm going to go over to the mound where Yu Darvish last year was not very good. Had a 4.56 ERA, 4.03 FIP, but that was still the highest number that he had put up since 2019. The Padres need Yu Darvish to have a good year if they're going to be a contender. A Darvish that checks in with a 500 record and an ERA of 4.5. Padres aren't going to get to where they want to get with reduced depth on the team if the top end doesn't come correct. And I still believe in pretty much every aspect of Yu Darvish, his athleticism, the way he conditions himself, the way he prepares mentally. He is such a student of the game. He's Maddox-like in that sense of how he is always pursuing more knowledge, more information, finding those edges, looking in places other people don't. He's very curious as an athlete, which is something I find very appealing. There's a reason the Padres felt comfortable giving him a deal that covered his late 30s and early 40s in his mid 30s. It was because they had seen that up close. So for everything to work right, you want Yu Darvish to pitch at least 175, 180 innings this year, and you want him to have that ERA of about 3, and that would 100% qualify as a bounce back this year.
This guy is so prepared. You will never see another pitcher, more prepared than Yu Darvish. I love his curiosity. I think that's a great word to describe him. He is constantly looking at other pitchers, other guys, relievers, new guys, rookies, and learning from them as much as they're learning from him. He is someone that in the clubhouse goes about his work very seriously, but also has this really humorous side to him that keeps things light and that his teammates know, and you get to see every once in a while when you're around. But he is, he's a thing of beauty. Really, he is to watch him go about his work. Yu Darvish. Now, dealt with the WBC last year, a little thrown off of his routine, but you're talking about a veteran, a guy that knows how to get himself prepared. They pretty much leave him alone in spring training because he has his own his own program, his own way of doing things that has worked for him for a long time. So many pitches. We know about that. He's inventing new pitches practically every year. He's got something new or a new version of a pitch to throw into his repertoire. Now he's dealing with this elbow injury, and that's going to be the unknown. He didn't have surgery. We don't know how that's going to affect him. We don't know if that is a thing that's completely healed and he just goes forward, or there's going to be something in the year that's going to have some kind of a hindrance. And I think that's going to be a big unknown with Yu Darvish. When he is on, and with the contract that the Padres gave him, I agree. This rotation, you have a 1-2, especially of him and Joe Musgrove. You can get those two back to health and back to the years that they had, a few years ago. And you feel like you're rocking and rolling a little bit. Like you feel like you're starting with a very dangerous 1-2 every time that rotation turns over.
He better not have something wrong with his elbow. I trust in his professionalism,
yes,
and responsibility to his club, that if he had anything wrong with his elbow, that he would have pursued all avenues to be ready for spring training.
And he did, right. So he definitely got checked out. They made that decision after he had run all those tests. You just never know. You've been pitching a long time. You just never know what's going on in there. They do know because they run MRIs. But
has anyone tried saging for the elbow?
Nah.
Hour number 2, Annie and Elsten on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are right back after this. Casey Stoney from The Wave joins us at 11:15. Hour number 2 underway on your midday hang. Welcome back to Annie and Elsten. Annie Heilbrunn, Craig Elsten, and Braden Soprano here with you until 2 o'clock. We are live on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are streaming worldwide on the Audacy app, AUDACY app. Download it where you can go back, rewind, catch previous segments of previous shows, find the podcasts of all the shows that you might have missed over the course of the day. And, of course, we are broadcasting worldwide on the #1 platform for podcasts. That's YouTube, of course, where you can see our smiling faces 4 hours a day, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. All 13 hours of our live local programming streams on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube page. So go there, subscribe to that page, click like on all the various videos that you find, including our live presentation right now. It always helps the algorithm. If you're there in the chat, give us that little like there. Click on the like, the notifications bell, the subscription. All of it's free. All of it helps us along the way. Thanks to all of you for making a choice. It's a choice every day.
Yes.
For your media consumption. Thank you for making the choice to hang with us a little bit today. Very excited about this hour, Annie, because Casey Stoney will be our guest coming up at the quarter hour at 11:15.
Appreciate her taking the time. Yeah, coming on with us.
Yeah, a very busy time for the Wave as they get prepared for the 2024 season. People go, what? It's not season time. You're not that busy. You're actually the most busy in a sports front office in the 2 months before a season. And hopefully you've done the work in the 2 months prior to that to make it that you're not underwater completely for 2 months running. I have felt in various front offices the feeling of the floor underneath me just starting to slope and slant down, and everything in the room is falling at the same. You're listening, oh my God, I have to do it all today in one day. So I know that feeling exists for everybody in every front office, no matter how much you're on top of it. But yeah, big time right now. Just had the NWSL draft last weekend, seeing various roster signings along the way. We'll talk to Casey Stoney about all of that coming up at 11:15. This will be a slightly shorter segment in order to line that up properly time-wise. So use this time if you're out there in the audience to get your Wave fans notified, put up the siren song to the San Diego Sirens, the supporter group of the Wave, to get everybody assembled. Casey Stoney will be here in a few minutes. Thought we could take this time to talk a little Aztecs, because last night at Viejas Arena, good solid win for San Diego State. Braden and I talked about it yesterday. This is a week that if you're going to win the conference, this is a 2-0 week. You need to have the 2-0 this week. Nevada coming here, coming off a loss, but a good team, 15-2 team coming into yesterday. And then you got Boise State on Saturday on the road, where they are very, very hard to beat. And they're bouncing back from a loss themselves, never mind a home loss. So you're going to be finding a team that's going to be hungry and desperate. So if you were going to go 1-1, you had to get last night's game. Really good to see the team came out strong, finished strong.
Yeah, there was that stretch, I think that 4-minute stretch when they didn't have a basket and UNLV got back in it. UNLV tied it. But then the Aztecs did what they do. Great defense, the offensive rebounds, 20 offensive rebounds. They did a great job there. They were really in control there. It was a nice bounce back game for them. And I felt like it was great to hear CBS to acknowledge the environment at Viejas Arena and the fact that that place is packed and how much of a difference it makes for these Aztecs. Just really talked a lot about how much they love coming there and how much fans have made a difference there. So really cool to see that also on that broadcast. But no, it was a good win. Defense, rebounding to me was a difference in that game. They did a nice job. Yeah,
I had to tune in pretty much early second half because Soccer's played last night at 7. I was working for the club.
That's how things go.
Yeah. Doing it. So, we had that on the big screen. And then the second the game was over, switched it over to the Aztecs, at which point they were in the process of blowing their 16-point lead.
Right, 16-point
getting
lead.
To a tie.
Right.
I was like, okay, well, this is going to be a game. Literally, I was like, all right, settle in. It's 9:30. I was going to start working on this menu over here. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to pay attention. And, sometimes you're just physically the stronger team. And it's great to see the Aztecs, Will. I think playing in a favorable environment, I don't know if this sounds mystical or not, but I think it gives you a better chance for offensive rebounds. Having that energy behind you instead of, hitting you like a wave, the wind at your back instead of the wind in your face, so to speak. But the Aztecs were the bullies last night. 20 offensive rebounds, best performances of the season. They needed it because they were clanking threes. They were 5 of 21 from 3-point range, and Jaden Ledee had a good game. 22 points, 12 rebounds, had a bunch of turnovers. Wasn't great in terms of his ball handling last night, but the Aztecs did everything they needed to do to get that win.
Absolutely. And that's what you want to see. You want to see that this team, they might have a little bit of a stretch there, right? Where things you let UNLV come right back into it. You let them get right back in and potentially win that game. But then the Aztecs did what they do and they get ahead and they end up winning it. And they that's what you need to see. Like, it's not always going to be the most beautiful game. It's not always going to be, from start to finish that they're dominating, but you want to be able to see a team that can overcome some of those stretches, like that 4-minute stretch that they had, overcome a player being sick, not in the starting lineup. And that's what they did. They did a really nice job. And again, Brian Detcher has that team prepared. He has that team mentally ready to overcome a lot of those obstacles.
And they did it without Darian Trammell last night.
Exactly.
Too. I mean, they've had some injuries mixed in. I mean, Darian Trammell with an illness last night was unable to go. They were still able to go out there and get a victory over a conference foe in Nevada, who's ranked very high in the net rankings. I mean, that's going to be a good, solid win for San Diego State. And again, they've put themselves back into a tie for first place with Utah State. They were a half game back, and it's going to be a wild finish in the Mountain West Conference. Hopefully that the Aztecs can prevail in before they get to conference tournament play. But as of right now, they're tied with Utah State atop of the leaderboard, a half-game lead on Boise State, who they play on Saturday. That's another morning game. They have another morning game because they're on CBS, big CBS. So they'll take on the Boise State Broncos coming up on Saturday. New Mexico and Nevada round up the kind of top half. And then you got Colorado State in the mix of things, who started off the season really strong in non-conference play, but have kind of struggled in Mountain West play. 5 teams likely making the tournament out of the Mountain West Conference, probably 4 to 5. ESPN has made a case in a couple of articles that they could get 6, but you got to like the way the Mountain West Conference is playing in college basketball, because all it does is help the Aztecs out. Now they're no longer in that one bid league where they have to win the tournament, which, that's an interesting topic in general about how they determine things, the double-edged sword of, the best team of your conference is obviously the one that wins it outright the regular season, compared to a team that just gets hot over one weekend in a tournament, to determine who gets to go to the NCAA tournament. But you don't want to play in conference tournament where the winner doesn't really get anything either. But, you look at the Big West, UCSD, until that becomes a multi-bid conference in a couple of years,
right.
Obviously when they're eligible, they have to win the tournament. I mean, there's been years for the Aztecs where it's like, they'd lose this game in the regular season, but it's a one-bid league. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter. Just go win the tournament in Vegas and you punch your ticket.
I kept saying UNLV, Nevada.
It's Nevada.
Sorry
Nevada
about
Arena.
that, guys.
Sorry.
It's all right.
You're used to UNLV being a really good basketball team, and they're not. They haven't been in a long time.
Low-key, you know what I thought was the most important thing that happened last night? Reese Waters got it going in the second half. Mm-hmm. When I really look at it, it's fun to get down into the weeds and into the minutia, but you can also take a 20,000-foot view for the San Diego State Aztecs, because Braden just said it. It's a 5-team league. So on one level, each one of these wins is exciting. Each one of these wins is interesting because they're trying to win the Mountain West Conference regular season title, but ultimately, you're going to be in the tournament. You're going to be against the best 65 teams in the country. And how are you going to be set up to play in those games? As is, the Aztecs are that team that could go out in the first round because they've got the big man down low. But there are ways to neutralize a big man. And every coach in the NCAA tournament, whether it's throwing a zone at the Aztecs, any great zone is going to give this Aztecs team a ton of trouble. If they had to face a Syracuse zone type situation, that would give them trouble. They need the outside guys to be able to get hot. They need those guys to hit catch and shoot threes, but they also need them to be able to create. And there was a very interesting moment in the second half last night where the announcer on CBS Sports Network literally was like, well, Reese Waters, who doesn't create a lot for himself, And in that play, like literally as he was saying it, lovely announcers, reverse jinx.
Right.
He did a nice dribble move to set himself up, free himself from his defender, have a little space, and he hit a three. Stuck that three at 14 points last night. He created some critical secondary offense for the Aztecs. And without that, they're not going to go far. With that, they do have a chance to beat other big teams.
Yeah, exactly. You need that depth and you need to be able to do that. And that defense, I mean, the way that they power that out, I mean, it's really, really a thing to watch. I know that's what SDSU's always been known for, but year after year to be consistent like that, really, really nice job by them.
So great job for the Aztecs. Big win. Off to Boise. 11 a.m. Can the Mountain West find a different partner? I'm so sorry. It's either 11 on the weekends or 8 o'clock on a weekday night.
Yeah.
So I said, Craig, yesterday, football teams got to play themselves into a better conference.
That's it.
Could you imagine what it would be like at Viejas Arena when the Kansas Jayhawks roll into town for a conference game? That's all I got to say.
Sean Lewis, Aztec Fast. Get us into a different conference.
Get us into
Aztec
the Big 12.
Fast, please.
Make your amends with Brett Yormark after you said thanks, but no thanks. We're going to the Pac-12.
Let's take a timeout. Casey Stoney joins us next. We'll talk about what I thought was the team of the year last year in San Diego sports, San Diego Wave FC. That's coming up. It's your new midday hang. It's Annie and Elsten on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11:17 on the Fan. Welcome back to Annie and Elsten. Annie Heilbrunn, Craig Elsten, Braden Soprenet here with you till 2 o'clock. That's when Gwen and Chris will take over from 2 to 6. The Scraby Show with Matt Scraby from 6 to 7 tonight. Live and local all day on San Diego's #1 sports station and streaming live as well on the Audacy app and on YouTube. All right. Very excited, Annie, to welcome to the show for the first time our guest. She is the head coach of San Diego Wave FC, heading into their third season in 2024. Casey Stoney, our guest on The Fan. Casey, Craig Elsten, Annie Heilbrunn here with you. Thanks so much for your time this morning.
No worries. Good morning.
Good morning indeed. So year one, breakout expansion team. Alex Morgan, Kalen Sheridan in town, chance to move into Snapdragon Stadium, set attendance records. Year two, NWSL Shield, best record in the league. Year three, where are the ambitions, the expectations for the club going into 2024?
Yeah, to keep improving. Obviously, we've had 2 good years, especially being an expansion team, but we want to be consistently at the top. So we want to keep improving. We want to win more games, more points on the board, and win a championship.
Casey, just being in your third year now, how much more comfortable? I mean, I'm sure from year 1 to year 2, you guys felt so much more comfortable. But for an expansion team, really, when did kind of the newness of it wear off and you were able to really just construct this the way that you guys wanted to go in terms of just kind of taking off with your franchise?
I think probably midway through the second season. We actually had a really bad run last year when the World Cup was on. I think we went 9 without a win. And then the newness very much wore off, to be honest. And it was about how we could get back into winning form and how we could, try and finish the season strong. We ended up winning the league, and finishing the team. So I think it wore off there. I think we're very much at home now in San Diego. We're building out the roster the way we want it to, in terms of the way we want to play the game. But we're also very aware we're still in going into our third year. So we're pretty much, a toddler in terms of our experience within the league and years of being able to build it, and also the amount of windows we've had to build this team. So, yeah, we have big, I think we have big goals here. We know the expectations are high, and as they should be, but we're working hard to achieve them.
You're playing in the top league, around the world. People can look to Great Britain. I'm going to stump for the NWSL. You've been on both sides of this. And so, of course, every year you're going to deal with international windows in some way in terms of having top players on your team have to go. And that's going to take place for everybody in the league. But just as a challenge, what was it like last year with the World Cup, understanding what that summer break was going to be like in terms of continuity for your roster, for your culture? How excited are you to not have to deal with that to the same extent this year?
Yeah, I think it is a huge challenge. It's obviously one you don't face in Europe because you don't play through FIFA windows. You stop, and I think this year it will be different. Obviously, we're not playing through FIFA windows, which is great. The challenge is you lose maybe 7 or 8 of your team that are, your best players. They're internationals. They should be your best players. They go away. Other players come in and do an incredible job. Then they come back, and it's how you manage the squad and the balance of integrating them back in, making sure the players that played feel the value of what they achieved whilst those players are away. And also sometimes you have to change your style slightly, because missing 7 or 8 of your starting 11 does impact you. But it's also not panicking either. We had a run where we couldn't get a win, but we knew the performances were there. We just couldn't quite get the goals and get over the line. So it's just sticking to the process, being consistent. And yeah, I'm very pleased this year that we're not playing through FIFA windows, but it's still going to provide challenges. We're missing a lot of our internationals pretty much for 3 weeks of the preseason, which isn't ideal either. But, every team has to face it. If you're going to have international players, it's a challenge you're going to have to deal with every year.
You mentioned last season. When you look back now at the semifinal, what are your thoughts? What is your perspective on that and what you can take away from it?
Yeah, I think my biggest perspective is that, maybe we could have done things a little bit differently. I'll always learn and say, could I have made changes in the game quicker? I felt like we went into the game probably fearing not losing rather than seeing it as an opportunity to win. And we are a good side, and trying to build that belief and that fearlessness is something we're going to have to do this year. Because if we get in that position again, we want to make sure third time it's a different result.
We're talking with Casey Stoney. She's the head coach of San Diego Wave FC. lots of things happening around the club over the last couple of weeks, Casey. Let's start with the NWSL draft, which just took place on Friday. It's back to Stanford. It seems like a very good place for San Diego Wave FC to go in terms of these drafts. But tell us a little bit about the two players coming to the team now, Kennedy Wesley and Maya Jones.
Yeah, obviously we had, a list of players that we wanted to look at once we got to that 12th pick, and Kennedy was one of those. I think she's had an outstanding season for Stanford. Obviously, we do recruit from Stanford. They're intellectual players. They understand the game. They play a certain way, so they suit our profile. Bringing Kennedy here is no different. She's played very well this season. I think she's been exceptional at the back for them. She covers the ground well. She reads the game well. She's competent and confident on the ball. And Maya was someone that, caught our eye last minute. And, she's from a slightly smaller school, Memphis, but her ability 1v1 to score goals, to create, was something we felt could really strengthen our squad. So we were really, really pleased with what we were able to bring in from the draft. We're excited to see how they get on this season and bring them in and see what they can add to our squad.
One name that we've been seeing in the news quite a bit, Naomi Girma, U.S. Soccer Female Player of the Year. So exciting as a player. What does she bring to your team, and what have you noticed about her?
She was our first pick in the first year we formed, and I was very, very adamant that we picked her up because the potential that I could see in her, the way she plays the game, her ceiling was so high. She's so humble as well. I don't think she actually realizes how good she is. She is, world class, and she's only been in the league 2 years. The way she can defend 1v1, her composure on the ball. She's probably one of the most, if not the most complete centre back that I've ever worked with. And we're very, very lucky that we've got her in our squad.
Casey, Melanie Barcenas, what an interesting challenge to have such a young player, someone as young as 15 to 16, be a part of a professional team. Obviously, there were challenges for a head coach just in terms of dealing with somebody at a different maturity age, running things by their parents, I would imagine, at points. Now she's been selected for the CONCACAF Women's Under-17 Championship. Obviously a rising star, gets as loud of an ovation as anybody on your club when you put her on the touchline for a substitution. Where do you see Melanie and her progression as an athlete, and what are your expectations for her with Wave FC this season?
I expect her to get more minutes. I expect her to feature more. I was very cautious with her last year, it being her first year in the league, making sure we protected her a little bit. I feel like she's developed a lot in the last year. She's had lots of different experiences and different exposures to different things. So for me, I think she's in a good space. She's been working with her the last couple of weeks. She's come back in and she's looking really good. So, we need to be braver with her this year, and it was a conscious decision to be like that with her last year and make sure that she was looked after. I think this year we can expose her to more minutes. She can, we'll need to, and the expectations will be higher, and I think they should be, because the talent that Mel's got is very, very rare. It's exciting. And you are right. When she steps on the field, it certainly gets the fans going.
Casey, we were just talking about it. People sometimes think that the off season is a time where maybe not a lot of work is getting done, but of course the off season for sports teams is sometimes the most busy. What is left on your agenda? What are your days like, and getting ready for this upcoming season? What have you been up to with that?
Well, it's been very busy. Obviously, you're at recruitment. You're looking at we had to go for an expansion draft. We had to go for a college draft. We're looking at bringing in new players, and obviously planning. For pre-season, we've got we're going away for a week as well to Coachella, and we're playing a couple of NWSL teams there. So it's very busy. It's making sure that we're prepped and ready to go for the season. And we've had players in as well. So, we don't stop working. We keep busy, and it's about continuing to grow this club to the best it can be.
Casey, if people don't know about your professional career just here in San Diego sports radio, maybe a slightly different platform than some of the others that you've had the chance to be on here in town, you're a world-class athlete in your own regards, your playing career in Europe, your playing career in England, and you also were the head coach of Manchester United's women's club before taking the position at San Diego Wave FC. I know I asked you this when we were at a pep rally before the semifinal, but for this audience, How important was it for you? How important is it for you to be working for an organization like San Diego Wave FC, playing in the NWSL, standing on its own two legs, not being the second team in a building, not being the second thought for an ownership or a management? What does that mean for you at this stage of your career?
It was the reason I came here. I spent a long time playing in England. I played for England for 18 years. I played for multiple clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. We were never the priority in any of those. And as a player, that can limit your resources a lot and what you have access to. We don't have any limitations here. Everything is dedicated to the team, for the team, about the team. It makes my job a hell of a lot easier as a coach. And I think that's one of the reasons why I came here is we're never second best, third best, fourth best. We are the elite team in this football club, and every decision is made what's best for the players and the team.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, it's really exciting to have you here on the air. We want to extend the invitation to have you back on the air all throughout the season. Keep everybody up to date on what's happening with the X's and O's of the team beyond, including promotion, but beyond just the promotion of the team, really getting into the football of it and continuing to educate the fans here in San Diego about this top flight league, this top flight team that is right here in the heart of the city and in the heart of the region. Thank you so much for your time today, and we hope it's the first of many. My pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you.
There she is, Casey Stoney, head coach, San Diego Wave FC. If you've ever seen how she cuts her presence on the sideline.
Just in the intensity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The power ponytail, trademark look, like the black leggings with the long coat.
Yes.
Always has a cooler. She doesn't have one of those airplane chairs that you see so many of the European head coaches have. She'll have literally an orange water cooler.
That's what she uses.
And she sits on it and, has the handle up, and that's
love it.
That's like
that's
back.
The chair.
That's the back for the chair.
I think that's brilliant. The intensity, but the passion. I think it's so cool that she has a personal feeling about how things went for her before and why it was so important for her with that question that you asked to come to San Diego and be part of this, right? I mean, there's something personal there with wanting to give this sport the attention that it deserves.
Yeah. Casey Stoney, all business, She is one of those top flight coaches. You meet someone, you're like, I want to come correct when I'm around Casey Stoney.
And I'm sure players want to be part of that because you know that you're going to get her best. She's going to build something there that has a lot of probably accountability, a lot of checks and balances, making sure that people are showing up with their best every single day, and that's probably a lot of fun to be part of. It's intense, but you're also winning the way that they are.
100%. A great addition to our San Diego sports landscape. San Diego Wave FC and head coach Casey Stoney, thank you for her time. If you missed it, of course, you can go back on the Audacy app. You can click rewind. You can hear the entire interview. We'll have it clipped out as a separate podcast as well at the end of the day. Love to see all the Wave fans in the chat on YouTube, giving some love to Casey Stoney as well. All right, Annie and Elsten, that's our feature interview for the day. We actually do have the Audacy betting insider, Ryan Horvat, joining us to wrap up the show once again. So if you want to drop us any, potential bets you were thinking of making this weekend, if you'd like to have them run by the expert, feel free.
Oh, yeah. Let him set you up for hopefully some success for your pocketbook, but we can't promise anything here. So
no promises.
Definitely a disclaimer on that.
Yeah, there's got to be a disclaimer there. Don't.
I'm just saying, if you'd like to try, it's kind of like, all those fantasy experts who just get barraged. To me, it's like the worst radio ever. That Sunday morning, hey, I've got the 3 wide receivers, and I need to pick 2.
I play in 15. All those guys play in like 15 different leagues, and then they only brag about the pickup they had that actually worked out in one of them, and then they talk about how much of an expert they are when it's literally guessing. It's all luck.
And the best is when they hit up the players. So I've seen people say to players personally, you ruined my fantasy for this week. You've done this or that. It's like, come on. They're trying to go out there and win a game. They're not trying to win your fantasy league thing.
A lovely Wave FC interregnum there on Annie and Elsten. We'll have some more Padres talk when we come back. We're going to make this Padre team great. We're going to do it one way or another. I'm not going to make a trade this segment. Don't worry. Maybe later.
Long tease.
Oh,
Maybe later.
I've
We can't wait.
noticed that Craig has only long teased the trade segment.
'Cause
He hasn't
he's-
long teased anything else
Right.
every day, but it's always the trade segment.
12 o'clock
yeah.
sports fix coming up at the top of the hour. Our new daily segment.
That's right. That's
Just want to prove you wrong.
It's
in
only
real
30
time.
minutes though. Like you've been plugging the trade. You're starting to plug the trade stuff on Ben and Woods this morning.
He brought it up.
crossover.
He brought up Manoah.
Yeah, it's not like you haven't known Ben your entire life and been able to text him, hey, bring up the trades. Bring up the trades. We know how much you like the trades
Good
too.
call.
You know what? I'm surprised that you don't do a call into their show every day to break down to throw out the trades. Trading instead of the Netflix thing, because that's ours now. Trading with Craig Elsten on the morning show. It's a different trade every time.
Hey, we're keeping the content fresh.
That's right.
We're keeping it flowing. I'm going to try and find a veteran for that bench today.
That's right. Got to find veterans on the bench.
You got to have that veteran on the bench. We're going to find that later today. Annie and Elsten right here at San Diego's #1 sports station, your midday hang, 97.3 The Fan. Oh, I think we have a liner. Want to read a liner?
Okay. I guess. What are we? 11:40. Okay. Ready?
Yeah. No, we're totally ready.
I don't know.
We're like literally
Are
listening to you right now.
ready?
Join 3-time Super Bowl champion Mark Schlereth on the Stinking Truth podcast. It's an unfiltered look at the NFL. Follow Stinking Truth in the free Audacy app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I think I need to print those so then Annie can pull a Don in mud and just do the paper snap at the end.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be nice. I couldn't steal that from them, though.
Paper snap of confidence.
You can steal whatever you want. We're in the content business.
That's true. Everything is stolen anyways.
That's right.
It's more of an aggregation.
Our stuff's
You're
getting stolen.
aggregating
We got to
their
steal.
bit.
We got to steal the paper. They didn't trademark the paper snap.
They did not. But, then you're going to get people that are like, you don't do it right. You
Who
don't do
cares?
it like how they do it.
Don't pay attention to
They
those
do-
people.
Ah.
Don't pay attention to those people.
AJ Cassavell had a little story today about Xander Bogaerts and his future at
Yes,
shortstop.
He did.
We've kind of touched on it, but I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add to that. He kind of feels that eventually you're probably going to be looking at moving Xander away from that position, but it might not be this year.
The single most confusing aspect of last offseason was following the Bogaerts signing with the Machado super extension. It actively confused me at the time, and I think it continues to complicate the issues that the Padres have today. Because when you signed Xander Bogaerts, it seemed pretty clear what was going to happen. That Xander would play shortstop and he'd move to third base when Manny opted out of his contract at the end of 2023 and maybe hit the market. And
Definitely a way to justify the Bogart signing at the time.
at the time, it's the way it made sense, right, Braden?
That absolutely. That's what makes that deal make sense. And then Machado signed.
And Cronenworth signed. And those two things happened almost simultaneously. They happened like in the same week, I think.
Darvish signed too, but yeah, it's a different topic.
Different topic, right? And then you went, well, wait, now we've got the shortstop locked up, the third baseman's also locked up, the second baseman's also locked up, but is he the first baseman? And wait, we've got Kim, and he's a better shortstop than any of these guys.
And we need to re-sign Soto. Why this isn't making sense? Wait. Wow. And then it came to the Padres must really have a lot of money if they can make all these moves, knowing that they have to re-sign Juan Soto.
That's
You got
exactly
too
right.
And
excited.
Well, look, we're
possibly
made of money.
Shohei Ohtani at that time,
that's right.
too.
Because Bob Nightingale's still putting out that the Padres are going to make a huge run for Shohei.
Yeah, undoubtedly, we felt so high on the hog when those extensions were announced.
And it was kind of the narrative of, well, you can never have too many shortstops, can you? They're
Athletes.
athletic.
They're athletes.
They're athletic. You move them around.
Athletes.
So here we are, and Manny Machado's a Padre for life. And I'm not mad at that. I'm certainly not mad at it. From a analytical standpoint, from the standpoint of future value, so on and so forth. His first contract was perfect. It was perfect. 10 years, $300 million. You're going to get a lot of value in those first 5 years. And the Padres got a lot of value in those first 5 years. Then you've got the second 5 years, which cover his early to mid 30s. And then that point where not good, but great Hall of Fame level players, they usually get to 36, 37, 38, having really good seasons before they hit that wall. And you're like, okay, and then the contract will be over right around where the wall historically exists at 37 or thereabouts. And instead, we're like, we're going to go right through that. We're going to blow right past that.
And you make those deals knowing that those last few years, if you get them, it's like a cherry on the cake. The ones that the Padres made this last year is what I'm saying. The ones that go into your 40s. You realistically know if you're the front office, you're probably not going to have that guy playing. You're going to, eat that money or whatnot. And it's a cherry on the cake if he is, and he's still productive and his body's still great. Okay, awesome. But you know that that's going to decline over time, and it's not going to be what it is now, of course. But Now, too, you're dealing with, okay, at the shortstop position, is Ha-Seong Kim going to be here this year? Is he going to be traded before then? Is he going to be needed to play third while Manny recovers?
Yeah, it's a difficult. There's a little button right there. It's called call. There it is. And we're in this situation now. We're in this spot right now. Whatever the issues were before, we can't go back and undo the contract extensions that have been signed. We can't go back and relitigate or renegotiate these things or put fewer years. We're here now. So it drives us to the question you asked at the beginning. Well, what do you do with Xander Bogaerts? If this is Stratomatic, it's easy, right? You put Kim at short because he's got the lowest rating. He's got the best numbers. And then you would put Xander maybe at first base because his bat would carry, his hit tool would carry a little better to first base than Jake Cronenworth's has so far. That would put Jake at second, where his value is a lot higher than it is at first base. We've already seen that. Same thing happens to Xander, though, if he goes to first base. Even hitting to his career numbers and hitting 305 with 25 homers, that's a good first baseman, right? It's still not elite offensive production at that position. So no matter what you do, whenever you put someone out of position into an offensive slot, you've got to be hoping that all the other positions are compensating. If we're not going to have a first baseman playing at a first baseman's level, that means the shortstop has to be playing at a much higher level. Second baseman, the right fielder, et cetera, have to be playing at a much higher level. The Padres can square that circle. They can figure it out and get people in the right spot. But I'm pretty darn sure Xander Bogaerts is the starting shortstop in 2024. He's done nothing to deserve to lose the position yet.
In fact, and I know these lists are arbitrary, MLB Network's top 10, they ranked him as the number 3 shortstop in the majors. If he can get back to that production, or at least raise that production, I think that was his lowest slash line. AJ has in here, Casavell, his lowest slash line since 2017. You're wanting more production. You're wanting more production from Xander Bogaerts. I believe he will still most likely be at the shortstop position in 2024. After that, possibly depending on if production or defense takes a dip, you could be looking at moving him off. But he's also made it known that he wants to be up the middle in 2024 at least. And I think that he's open to moving, but I don't think that he planned to be moving after his first year. I think later on in his contract, he was kind of eyeing that could be a possibility. So you also want a player, you want to show your player that, you believe in him and that you want to give him the chance to do that. But at the same time, these are players that are signed, like you said, 10-year contracts. At some point, for whatever player it is, it's got to be what works for this team. What is best for this team? How do we proceed? Sorry, we told you X. It's got to be Y, because that's what's best for the team. It's hard though. Players are tricky. You don't want to also, you don't want to get into their head too much in terms of making them go out of their norm. Now he's a veteran though. He's a veteran. He should be able to do it.
I know all of these guys are committed to having the Padres win, and they're going to have a great team attitude because they're professionals. It's very easy to be sitting back here with kind of a blasé comment, but Mike Schiltz's first year as Padres manager, walking in and telling Xander Bogaerts, like, hey, man, I think you need to be the second baseman this year and not be the shortstop. Xander can look right back at him and be like, I'm going to be here in 9 years. I don't know where you're going to be, but I'm going to be here. So I'm going to keep playing shortstop, man. Like, they signed me to play shortstop. I'm here as your shortstop. And I'll be here in Peoria as your shortstop, and you can tell someone else to play second base.
Whatever manager cycle, and let's hope Mike Schultz, has the success that I think this team believes that he will. But so an interesting note on that, right? He visited Xander in Aruba, and you got to think they at least chatted about it. You got to think that they at least maybe had an honest conversation about possibly moving positions, or when that might be, or how it might be. And so, yes, you would hope that if Mike Schultz is having that conversation with him, that did not happen. at the first day of spring training, that maybe that happened over the offseason or something like that. But the point still remains. It is going to be a tricky thing to do, especially if the player doesn't want to do it. Xander, a pro, someone who wants the best for this team, I think he would come around, but it's still, it's not ideal. It's probably not ideal, right? Xander had a tough time last year because he got hit by a pitch. And that wrist is another thing. Those cortisone shots are not going to be going away. So he's going to continue to have those. He's going to continue to deal with this wrist thing. And you're just going to want to space those out as best as you can and hope that he doesn't get hit by a pitch, because it does affect him when that happens. But if you're another team too, you're looking at that probably. And I'm not saying that they're all going after Xander's wrist, but I don't know. These days it's you don't want to give anything like that. You don't want to give the opportunity for anything like that. But Xander is a good hitter. Xander is a good player. Xander has a track record. It is tough. I don't care how pro you are, how much of a veteran you are. It is tough to come to a new team. And I think he acclimated as best as he could. And I think that he was a great teammate to these guys in this clubhouse. I can't tell you how many players in their first year are like, it's fine. Everything's great. I'm comfortable. Don't worry about it. And then 3-4 years down the line, they're like, oh my God, let me tell you about that first year. It was horrible. It was really tough for me.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to say it at the time. And so you got to give him a shot. I think you got to give Xander a shot to be Xander.
So many interesting moving pieces to all of this. And I agree with you, Annie. I think Xander Bogaerts should be the starting shortstop to begin the year. I know our buddies at Pods Above Replacement, great analytical podcast about the Padres on YouTube, actually video show as well. They, for the Bogaerts signing last year, went into a super deep dive and came away with the conclusion that Bogaerts, the second baseman, would 100% return the value on his contract over the course. Think about Marcus Semien, who went from being a good shortstop to one of the best second basemen, because the hit profile moves over to the same position, but you're not dealing with the exact amount of range, which used to be Xander's issue. Now, he has gotten better the last 2 years, and he was at least fine as shortstop last year.
Yeah, he was.
Problem is that Kim is great.
And that's where you get back to. Will Kim be here? Where should he play? Won the Gold Glove as a utility player this year, and that's asking a lot of a player. So, I mean, you got to give Kim so much credit, but you also want to get the best out of Kim. You want your players to be in their best position to succeed. And yes, he, just like a Nick Martinez, will do whatever you ask of him. Kim will do whatever you ask of him. But think about what you could have. If you get these guys in positions where they are comfortable, where everyone knows where they are, you're not shifting this infield year after year after year. Let them have a chance to all work together. Let them have a chance to grow. I mean, I think it could give you a lot of upside.
There's a way to do that.
Trading Kim.
You could trade Ha-Seong Kim. You could trade Jackson Merrill.
Yeah.
You could trade both players. You could clear the path.
Right.
You could say that Xander Bogaerts is our shortstop for time to come. He is our shortstop for years to come. And Jake Cronenworth is our second baseman for years to come. And Manny Machado is our third baseman for years to come. And first base is, don't worry about first base. Figure that out. We're still paying Hosmer.
And of course you have to have the production, right? But looking at the roster as it is and the contracts that you're probably not going to move, these are your guys.
Right. That's what a lot of organizations would do. They take the players and just put them in those spots and go, that's it. You've got comfort. You've got certainty. You've got understanding. And in 3 or 4 years, maybe Leo DeVries is the shortstop. Yeah. And that's when Xander moves. You can do it that way. You could make some trades. Or you can just leave everyone here simmering in the pot. And then you're putting players in positions just because they're open, not necessarily because the talent profile is exactly right to put Jackson Merrill as a left fielder. Or I think I saw in the chat, Ha-Seong Kim center fielder. Like, he'd try.
He'd probably do all right.
He might do great.
Yeah.
He might be incredible.
But there is a learning curve, and there is something to, even if you're a player like Xander Bogaerts, think about that too. You're coming to a new place and you want to impress. You want to come in. You want the fans to like you. You want the team to like you. You're coming into a team that already has superstars. and you're a superstar in your own right, but you don't really know your footing yet. You don't really know where you're supposed to jump in or step back. And a lot of veterans do that. They sort of give space to allow the people that are already there to, take the steps that these guys take, and then I'll kind of observe for a little while, and then I'll step in once I feel comfortable. But you also want to have production. You want to be able to step in when you're producing on the field and take more of a leadership role. Xander is one of those people who will go to pretty much any player. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? I want to talk to you. How's everything going? Hey, I was watching you the other day. I thought you were great at this. Here's a tip about this. He's very community oriented in the clubhouse, which is what you would want from a veteran superstar.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the other guys aren't, but I'm saying that he has that to give too. So that's a plus. And just like, Manny, just like Joe, just like you. And if he feels comfortable and he comes into the year feeling good and he is able to take off from the year that he had his first year, I think that you're looking at a guy who could really have a good year this year.
As someone in the chat said it, and I'll just paraphrase, that Xander Bogaerts had a bad wrist and a new team and a new league and all of the complications, and he got to 4.4 F-WAR.
Yeah, there you go.
And Ha-Sung Kim had his best season ever and won a Gold Glove and broke out in many ways, and he got to 4.4 F-WAR. So a down Bogaerts year is better or the same as a breakout year for another player. Xander's a guy to get excited about. Leadership, let's see if he grows into it in his second year. Let's see if the clubhouse takes on more of his tenor, less of an observer, more of a leader. That would be an exciting development for the team as well. All right, 2 hours are deep. We're going to come back. Your 12 o'clock sports fix is next. This is Annie and Elsten on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's Annie and Elsten.
Oh, what time is it? Time to kick it!
A fresh local sports talk show about having a good time in the sunshine of San Diego.
Guess I've been working so hard, I forgot what it's like to be hardly working.
With your hosts, Annie Heilbrunn and Craig Elsten.
Ooh, doggy, we got a party now!
And featuring Braden Surprenant. The good times start now. Here are your hosts, Annie and Elsten, on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
High noon on 97.3 The Fan, halfway point of Annie and Elsten, your midday hang on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, with Annie Heilbrunn and Braden Surprenant. Craig Elsten on hand with you. It is great to be here once again. We have reached the top of the hour. It is high noon. It's time for the 12 o'clock sports fix. We know you're busy. We know your media consumption is fractured. Here, there, everywhere. Where do I go to get my news? I need my sports fix. Luckily, here at 12 o'clock, we are your dealers for your fix. Dealers of information.
Get your head out of the gutter.
Dealing you the sweet info that you crave to be coursing through your brain.
You're going to love it.
Let's get it going. Your 12 o'clock sports fix begins. Top story. We're back to you, Braden, for top story because college basketball was where it was at last night.
Absolutely, Craig. San Diego State knocked down
He even did it with his off foot. He's a left footer. He did it with his right foot. For the YouTube crowd, when we're done with the Sports Fix, we'll have that highlight for you. Brandon right now is in the weeds just getting our YouTube reset. So we'll have that for you a little bit later in the hour. But you got to see it, Annie. Tell me I'm over-exaggerating.
Very acrobatic. Even if you don't watch soccer on a day-to-day basis, you will appreciate this move.
NBA.
I can't believe he made it in.
I know. I can't believe it. Either. I can't believe he tried it.
I can't believe he tried it. I mean, how many people try that? I'm curious. Like, is that a thing?
Not many, not ever.
Because it's
it
very
takes
rare.
audacity.
Yeah.
It takes Audacy audacity. NBA, Lakers, back to 500. They beat Dallas last night, 127-110 at Staples Center. Luka Doncic had a triple-double, but he was playing, coming back from injury. Heard he was a little under the weather as well. But Lakers put it away with a really strong second half. Anthony Davis 1 assist away from a triple-double last night. AD was cooking, and the Lakers win. Those 10th place Lakers, but they get all of the attention in LA, but maybe not forever. James Harden is talking extension now in LA. Kawhi Leonard has signed. Paul George, apparently it's far down the road for him to re-up. And now James Harden is saying we'd like to keep the core together in Cliptown heading into the Intuit Dome. More thoughts on that after the fix. A second Warriors game has been postponed on Friday due to the tragic death of their assistant coach, Dejan Milojevic, who passed away after suffering a heart attack at a team dinner on Tuesday. Friday's game is postponed. And last note, you talked about the Portland team unable to make it, Braden, to USD.
I know, San Diego unable to make it to Portland this weekend. Or yesterday.
They couldn't. Okay, well, here's the deal. It's really snowy and icy in Portland. Blazers center DeAndre Ayton missed the Blazers game yesterday because he was literally iced into his house. A sheet of ice formed on his doors, preventing him to, like, the club was notified. They brought out people.
That's like one of those my dog ate my homework kind of things, but it's real.
All the King's horses and all the King's men couldn't get DeAndre Ayton out of the house again. And
they have resources. They can send people over. They can do all kinds of things, but not when a sheet of ice is completely trapping you. Yeah, that's when everyone just goes, hey, try again tomorrow.
Annie, on to you to wrap up the fix with NFL and NHL news.
All right. In the NHL, Kings host Predators tonight. And in the NFL, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones says Mike McCarthy will continue to be the head coach despite the collapse in the playoffs. Bill Belichick to have a second interview with the Falcons this week, NFL Network reports. And also, according to reports, Mike Vrabel interviewing with the Chargers this week as well.
Where is Jim Harbaugh going to land?
Where is Jim Harbaugh? What is he doing? What strings is he holding right now? Think about this flood of head coaching that is out there right now. I mean, you're talking really, really good and talented coaches. And how that little carousel is going to end is pretty fascinating.
And the Cowboys have decided to keep Mike McCarthy with all of this going around.
I'm surprised. I would have thought that Jerry Jones would nix him. I just knowing what Jerry Jones does.
He doesn't fire anybody.
Okay.
I mean, he left Jason Garrett in charge for like almost 10 years.
Yeah, that's
forever.
He doesn't fire anybody. I mean, he always.
But you don't have so much.
People
how much time do you have to win here? What's
people that are in that
in
organization
his lifetime
know that after every big loss, which is always how the Cowboy season ends, he goes out and says nobody's jobs are gonna, like, everybody's fine, and then that next Monday apparently is like the worst day at the Cowboys facilities because he's poking around asking, who do I have to bleeping fire to make this change? And he never does it with the head coach. So there will be some changes to that staff, but he keeps rolling with his head coaches. So a lot of Cowboys fans were upset by the news to an extent, but also were like, we were expecting this, but that doesn't mean I can be happy about it, is what the Cowboys fans are saying.
I love this type of nonsensical intrigue.
Yeah, the disappointment in, and I mean, in Dallas and where they are, I mean, that's the Cowboys. Everyone's talking about that and what keeping Mike McCarthy means.
Chargers completed an interview with David Shaw today. That
David Shaw
just happened. They are now in compliance of the Rooney Rule, according to Adam Schefter.
So it's a charade, or are they going to try and hire David Shaw?
The Rooney Rule, to me, is kind of a charade, which is unfortunate for what they wanted to establish that for.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's come to a point
It
where...
shouldn't be a charade.
You know, there's organizations that want to hire somebody already, and then they have to, you know, bring somebody in that has to fit and check boxes, and they don't give them a fair shot. You know, it's kind of... but, like, they have to do it because they established this rule instead of just having you hire the best and, like, go interview the best. And there's a lot of great coaches from a lot of walks of life that should be granted an opportunity to actually coach and go through a legit hiring process, not checking boxes because the NFL wants to make a rule.
But then there are a lot of African-American coaches who don't ever get the shot to interview because the ownership never wants to hire a black head coach.
Right, but then you put in this rule, and then they do sham interviews, and it's just like it's there's no win. You can't force that until they fix, I guess, who's in charge. But they have the money. Who's in charge? I mean, it's definitely it's a situation that is very difficult to implement and make work because of the way NFL teams operate.
You need intentionality, not just having a procedure.
Yeah, you need it to be meaningful. You need the whole thing to be looked at and figured out, not just, well, here, let's put that into effect. And that's what the NFL
Anything else is face saving. Anything else is just a face saving. No, we don't have bad hiring practices. Look, we've got a rule.
Right. Look at what happened in Washington. The NFL likes to say they just like to clean up whatever kind of mess that makes them look good or as best as they can, and then just push it under the bed.
They throw a lot of money at it.
Right. They throw a lot of money at it. Exactly.
The thing we do at the end of the Sports Fix is we kind of go back and we pick through the bones and see
I know what bone you're going to pick.
See the things that we like. Well, which bone am I going to pick?
You're going to pick the goal.
Well, I have sent the link to Braden. I want to make sure he has the clip. So we may do it after the break.
Okay.
We may do it after the break because the call is good enough to play on the radio, even if you don't see the goal. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the goal. So we'll do that. I just want to make sure, poor Braden had a grease fire light up in his position right as we started the Sports Fix. It was amazing.
Yeah, these window computers that they give us for work like to update every single day at certain points, and today's wouldn't let me postpone it, and it just says, we're updating your computer. All right, it's shutting down now. I'm like, sweet, thanks.
Super awesome.
Appreciate it.
Now, the one I'm going back to is James Harden. Because I just love when no one learns their lesson because it's fun and it's funny. And every single James Harden season has this moment when everything's going great, when he can't be stopped.
Keep the band together.
Sharing the ball and wanting to keep the band together. This happened in Philadelphia and Houston and Oklahoma City. And at every stop, there's a Harden honeymoon. At every stop, there is a moment of, dang, this guy's really good. And he makes our other players better too. He's an offensive facilitator and scorer. He's physical. He's everything. And then he loses in the second round. And in game 7, shoots 3 for 14 and disappears. And the next year makes sure to ask for the coach to be fired and demands a trade. And I just think it's funny in a way that here they are in the Harden honeymoon, and it's in the free agent window for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and they're ready to make the call now during the honeymoon. Like, you wait till the end of the year. That's when you get the full Harden picture. And if he helps lead the Clippers to the finals, 100% you should keep the band together. If they flame out in the second round and he no-shows game 7, I mean, it's only happened like 4-5 times in his career already. You still gonna what? Are they all gonna look back at each other in the locker room and go, "Wait, we just committed to 4 or 5 years of this"?
This is like when you just got together with someone and you get married after what, 3, 4 months. You're saying you're saying, right? That like you gotta stretch out this engagement longer. You gotta see, like, is this guy gonna work with your family? Is he gonna work on trips? Is he gonna be the one?
Yeah, imagine having I don't know, go to a completely different environment, an entertainment situation. Like, imagine you were a part of a musical troupe and you get a new conductor and everything is incredible. But then when you get to the big concert at the end of the year, they always show up drunk or, lose their baton or whatever. I don't know. This is a bad analogy. In sports, you've got these things. It's called seasons, and then there's a postseason, and then there are roster decisions. When you make the decision in the middle, if it's a James Harden team, it's funny, haha. It's happened everywhere.
Is it also very Clippers?
It's very Clippers. Very. He came to the right team at the right time. There was a reason he wanted to go to the Clippers. He knew the circumstance. He knew the situation. He's in the right spot. He's a great player. He's probably a Hall of Famer. I mean, really, the Clippers probably have 4 Hall of Famers on their roster right now. Don't know if they're going to win with it, but they're playing great in the regular season. Just get through one playoff, guys, before you all up in for 4 or 5 year contracts to commit to this full time. That's all I'm saying. I've watched this so many times that it literally puts a smile on my face to see Paul George and Kawhi have all just be like, let's do it. What, we just won 23 out of 30? This is clearly going to last forever.
All right. It's going so well. Everything's working.
Everything.
Why do you want to break that up? The Harden honeymoon.
The Harden honeymoon. Every market has experienced the Harden honeymoon. I mean, I'm sure the strip clubs around LA are thrilled. James Harden is there. The economy takes a lift.
This could be his spot, though. This could be the team that is his twin flame.
I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm not anti James Harden. I just have watched his career. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? People, oh, well, you're a hater. Like literally every time for James Harden, it ends one way. Are we afraid to talk about what things actually happen in the world? This is what actually happens. It's happened every time. Maybe this is the time.
Maybe they're in like fantasy land, like you are in the trades, and they're only looking at what the good that could happen, Craig.
That was a tease. See, I'm not the only one who long teases. Let's make a trade, Braden.
She does it in a way that she's making fun of you. Though.
Exactly.
It's a little bit different.
Thank you, Braden.
Context is key here.
I'll just blithely ignore that part of it.
And Craig is going to smile and wave.
Any publicity is good publicity.
And go to bed.
Most popular segment. It's coming up. Let's make a trade.
Woo!
Who are we going to deal for today? We can figure it all
so
out.
Can't wait.
And you picked Detroit. Everybody's so excited about Detroit players.
Oh, man. You can't wait till I make a marginal improvement.
That's right. Can't wait for Javi Baez to show up.
We are not trading for Javi Baez.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Thanks for bringing us Javi Baez.
Spoiler alert. It will not be Javi Baez. Who will it be?
Are you going to trade with the Dodgers at any point?
Akil Badu.
If we get to week 4 of this and there's no move.
This guy, Miguel Cabrera, Craig, really? We're going to have the parting the last year of Miguel Cabrera.
You need some veterans off the bench.
You know what? Just because you want to see him get a bunch of gifts from a bunch of random teams doesn't mean you trade for Miguel Cabrera.
12:20, Annie and Elsten, your new midday hang. We're having a good time. It's San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3. They are having a good time, too. 97.3.
We swear.
1226 on the Fan. Welcome back. Annie and Elsten, your midday hang on 97.3, San Diego's #1 sports station. Annie Halbrin's here. I'm here. My name's Craig Elsten. Braden Sopranit's here. We're here till 2 o'clock. Gwen and Chris are in then. Scraby after that. I mean, Scraby's here from 2 to 6, getting berated, and then at 6, he takes a deep breath.
He shows everyone who's boss.
Clears the room.
Yeah. He says, "You fools, get out of here." Yeah.
I was listening to Scrabes last night, going back from the gym, and he literally does an airing of grievances at the end of his show, which is styled off of The Family Guy.
What are his grievances usually? Like, is it like someone cut me off on the road sort of thing? Or okay.
I assume it's like Chris for 1 to 5 things.
Yeah.
Like, today was a good day with Chris. I've only got one thing I'm mad about, or today was a not so good day with Chris. I've got 5 things I need to tell you about.
I'm going to do that on the weekends.
Yeah.
Today. I know you are.
Here's my Annie list. Here's my Craig
Right.
list.
Exactly.
The Annie list will be like,
I only have 2 hours.
Okay.
No, he'll add to mine.
Just keep adding it. I'm just going to sit here and just take notes.
I have a grievance about Costco.
What?
Can we get into that for a second?
Absolutely.
You're gonna pick. You have a bone to pick with.
No,
Costco?
I love Costco.
Look, I understand this is an intentional dodge to delay and possibly eliminate Let's Make a Trade.
Oh,
today,
that's right. I forgot.
We only have like 3 minutes. Don't we want to save? Let's make a trade for a longer segment.
Mate, I'll allow
I forgot that was right now.
Please air your grievance about Costco.
Well, there's Costco etiquette. And if you're pushing a cart, this is probably etiquette for all stores.
This is going to make me nuts. I'm going to get so angry at people for no reason.
Don't stop in the middle. Like, pull your cart over. It's like, pull over on the road. Pull over. Let people pass you.
Yes, get out of the way.
I like to pull over, and then I'll just go find all my things and then go drop them in my cart. And kind of, no one's going to take your cart, guys. They're heavy, and there's a lot of stuff in them.
All the stuff in there, they can go buy somewhere.
Right.
No
one's going to take it out of your cart. Don't leave your purse in your cart or anything. I'm not saying that.
Why would they steal from you when they can just steal from Costco?
But just pull over, veer to the right or the left.
Yes.
Let people continue on. That's all I'm saying.
Is it rude to say your world, buddy? Hey, your world, buddy. We're all just living it. Stay in the same spot. Appreciate it.
At least Costco's aisles are wide.
They are. They're wonderfully wide. Yes.
So you have to really, you have to do a jumbo park to really jam up.
It's just Costco like you're rolling along, and especially if you've got a lot of heavy things in your cart, it's hard to push that after a while. Like you've got like 3 things of water or whatever. So you've got a little momentum going, a little speed going, and someone just kind of stops right in front of you. And I don't want to ram into you.
No,
it's
never.
Dangerous.
This for me is the La Mesa Trader Joe's. Those
are thin.
We've locked down a finite location here.
Yeah.
Those are thin aisles.
Well, I mean, I see Elisa in the chat saying that you were talking about the La Mesa Costco, and
I was.
Of course you were. I mean, we're East County. Of course.
And Elisa also says, "I just smile," which is the right thing to do, Elisa. It's don't sweat the small stuff. Let people be people. Just keep on with your day. It is the right thing to do.
Right.
People are frustrating.
Plenty of thoughts in your own head to not have to worry about someone else.
Yeah, if they want to stop, I get. It's fine. I just think the flow would work better. That's all. If you just pull over.
So I know it's one of the only things there's very little that I would miss from the height of the pandemic. Okay, but for a while. At the La Mesa Trader Joe's, there was a flow that was designated.
They had arrows.
They had arrows.
And they stuck employees at those arrows to make sure you did not go against the flow of traffic.
And you know what? I liked the arrows. I liked the certainty of the flow of traffic. And unconsciously or consciously, I've followed that flow ever since. I'm going to start over on the right in the produce area where the salads and the fruits are. And then we're going to go up that far wall to the cheeses and the meats. Then we're going to carry over to the dairy wall, the juices, the milks, the cottage cheese, the yogurts, all of that. Butter. We're going to get that. And then it's down one, up the other, down one, up the other, and get to the far side where the checkout line is. And that's just what a good citizen of the community would and should do. And then you get into that nuts aisle. You get into that first aisle there where there's the nuts and there's like all the health products and such. One person is stopped with their cart on the left. They're getting the mangoes. One person is checking out the chamomile tea. They've got their cart stopped on the right. You're like, okay, I'll patiently wait for this. And here comes the dude the wrong way.
He wants the coffee. He wants to grind the coffee beans.
Just right down the middle, stop in the middle, look dumbfounded. Where is that coffee after all? I don't know where it is. And next thing you know.
Yeah, I know.
Next thing you know.
Elisa's coming with the fire right now. The key to that Trader Joe's is to never use a cart. Now, I agree with that. I won't use a cart. I will stuff the basket to its capacity and then use my shoulder carrier for the bags, stuff that to its capacity. And it's a workout, but it's one that I happily will do. I have like those like marks on my hand when I leave that
yeah.
cut into my
Absolutely.
wrist and everything.
Dear God. I mean,
but this is what you got to do.
I understand. And of course you need to go in the morning. Like I went in the afternoon the other day and it's just, that's player error. Honestly, that's player error.
Amateur hour.
Right.
Amateur hour. You got to be a veteran. Go right when they open or sometimes right when they close.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we figured this out.
I gotta get on the Costco stuff.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Costco gas, by the way, in Mission Valley is like, if you go at the wrong time, because I've gone. I only get gas at Costco now because it's ridiculous.
You have to.
It's ridiculous. I remember when I was in high school, like gas price, the height of gas prices when I was in high school was still not that high, but I was like, why would you drive out of your way to go get gas? I now understand that whole concept by only shopping at Costco gas. So sometimes I do USD games. I get out early enough where Costco gas is still open. I tell you what, I don't know was that Friars Road?
Yeah.
That it looks like old Charger game traffic getting into the stadium. And you're like, what is going? It's Costco gas. It's the way that it's
the hottest thing.
Oh my God. It is worse than going to a major event at what it was Qualcomm Stadium. Snapdragon can't even hold that many people for the Costco gas.
The difference is you'd have to get in that big crowd for a Chargers game and then they'd lose. You go to Costco gas, you get gas at the end. It's a win. Win every time. Gas, less money.
Anybody else park in the neighborhood up there in the hill and walk down the hill and go to the game? I used to do that.
Yes.
I used to do that. That was great when you won, and that was the most miserable loss or miserable part of when they lost. I remember the worst one since we went down memory lane earlier about heart-wrenching losses. This is not even in my top 10 heart-wrenching losses, but they played, I forget what year it was. It was like week 2 or week 3, and they're playing the Ravens. And I think this was like during the time when they're winning division championships almost every single year. It was like for that 5-year stretch, it seemed like. And they beat the Raiders the week before on a walk-off draw play to Darren Sproles. Works like a charm. And then against the Ravens, like the next week or the week after at Qualcomm Stadium, they decide to do the exact, Norv Turner decides to run the exact same play. And you know what? It was wide open against the Raiders, and they run the play. And I couldn't remember if it was Terrell Suggs or it was Ray Lewis, shoots the gap and just on 4th and 5 down by the goal line, just crushes Darren Sproles in the backfield to lose the game. Like, this is the final play of the game. They lost. And walking up that hill after that loss was the most painstaking thing.
You've also had some
ever.
Drinks, and now you got to go walk up that hill.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was, God, what was I like? I was like 12.
Oh,
so
okay,
no, I was not drinking. But yeah,
fizzy
you know,
drinks.
too many
parents,
Dr. Peppers, man. I had the sugar hangover going up the hill, listening to Ravens fans chirp. But I just remember that hill was just so brutal to walk up, and it was the safe way to not have to pay $125 for parking
or get stuck in that Qualcomm
or get stuck in the traffic. So you pay some dude $10 to park in his driveway up in Claremont or Sarah Mesa, I guess it's called. And that was great when they won. It sucked when they lost.
You know, I walked out of the studio for 2 minutes during the break, and during that time, Annie said to Braden, sorry.
That's the second time you called me Brandon today, by the way.
It's okay. I called UNLV Nevada or Nevada UNLV.
That's a little bit different. You don't work with UNLV in Reno every day like Craig
Braden
does. I don't understand. I'm not getting on you.
It's not the same.
I don't understand the amount of people that
bad.
can't say Braden on like the message. Sometimes I just think they're trolling me, but like phone callers in the past and online.
Let's go, Braden.
Just the Brandons, the Brendans, the Brennans, all that stuff. I was like, what is this? Like the first day of school for me every single year where they can't Braden. It's not even that hard.
It's not that hard. It's really not.
And don't throw a Y in there. Don't throw a Y in there. I don't have a Y.
Brady?
No, Braden with a Y.
Oh.
There are kids that spell their name like that, which is funny. Like when I meet Bradens now, when I do broadcasting for USD, I literally tell the kid, you spell your name wrong.
What would your hockey nickname be? Is it Braids?
Hockey nickname?
Every hockey player either becomes something, and the same in the baseball too, right? You're either
you had a Y,
Y, or you shorten it. It's one, right?
Right.
Gatesy.
I got called
Gatesy, right?
Called Bray sometimes when I was a kid.
Yeah,
but that was about it. Nothing too BS.
Like Scraby is Scrabes.
Ellen calls me BS.
What's
sometimes.
yours?
Craig's.
Krager.
Yeah, that seems to be the common
mine?
one for anybody named Craig.
I
don't know, your
what's yours?
Your actual name is not Annie. So
Right.
Annie is yours? You just go by it?
And I don't know. Because Sharon or Annette doesn't really make a good.
Roberto,
Share.
do not call me
Share.
Braids.
Share. Hey,
That would work. Share Bear.
Share Bear.
That's it. It's Share Bear. What I was going to say is that Braden,
thank you,
and Annie spent 2 minutes with me out of the room, and they said, what if I jump right into Costco, follow with Charger Walk, and he will forget to make a trade.
It was Ray Lewis, though, by the way.
He will forget to do the segment. He will end the spell.
I thought maybe you would just get so into that Costco conversation, you would just forget. Yeah, you just move on to the next thing.
I mean, you got to do what the people like, and the chats are really into the Costco thing. We just keep rolling up, and we need some Costco phone callers. And
I'm not mad at the segment. I liked the segment, but I'm determined. And we will make a trade next. Annie and Elsten on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. You will not dissuade me. You will not slow my roll. You will not stop me from making a trade. I'm going to make a trade.
The world could be falling. The world could be falling around. The world could be falling around. The world could be falling down around us. Yes. And my mic could be turned off, but it's not. It's on.
It's on.
And you could still.
Barely.
You would still.
I might struggle.
Make a trade.
I might be distracted.
A little bit.
The world was in flames and planes are crashing down about us, but I'd still think about the trade value machine. I'd still consider ideas on improving the Padres. You got to keep your goals centered, Annie. And my goal is for the Padres to have a great year in 2024. I feel like we've talked through this, seeing as we talk sports for at least 3 hours and 40 minutes out of our 4-hour show every day. I feel like
4 hours, by the way.
Full 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah. Always get that one guy after we do a segment that wasn't, after we did like 8 straight all sports segments. These guys never talk sports.
It's 4 hours, guys.
I never do. I can't stand
Well, with
it.
commercials, it's like 3 hours. But
Okay, Brandon. Okay, Brandon.
We making a trade, y'all. This is the daily segment on Annie and Elsten called Let's Make a Trade. It's a segment that we are powerless to stop, despite the efforts of those in the room with me.
I mean, I could literally just turn Craig's mic off.
We are powerless to stop this segment. Only one man has the ability, and that is AJ Preller. He has the ability, but does he have the intentionality to cancel this segment by making a deal himself? I think he does, but I think he loves these ideas so much.
Let me ask you a question. If you were out at the Costco and you ran into AJ Preller, would you say to him, have you been listening to my trade ideas? Have you heard any of them?
I would not.
Oh, why not?
Or are you going to try to pitch it to him on a napkin?
Yeah.
Because we're at Costco. He's probably listening to something on his phone. I'm not even going to say hi to him. I'm just going to let him keep shopping.
Oh, you're not even going to do a head nod or anything like that? Hey,
I'm going to Rick Schwartz my way in. I'm going to be like, hey, buddy, I've got an idea for you here. I'm a big-time talk show host. Please listen to my trade ideas. I don't need to do that. He's listening already.
Wow.
As we can tell by his trades.
Yeah.
Or he has somebody in the office listening. Someone's listening. Okay, look, I don't want to build up this trade.
Okay.
All right?
Good.
Sometimes on this segment, we've made blockbuster deals. Last week, we traded a good portion of the farm to Cleveland to get multiple pitchers, an all-star closer, a first baseman that could help us. But today I'm looking to the bench. Yesterday we made a trade with the Angels for Mickey Moniak. I'm still down with that.
I thought that was a reasonable trade.
Throw him out in center field.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'd be happy with that deal. Bring him home. Today, I'm looking for a veteran off the bench. I'm looking for somebody on a team that has many holes and a lot of right-handed batters. We need a lefty stick that you could play just about anywhere. And I got my eyes on a former Dodger by the name of Zach McKinstry. Zach McKinstry. Get excited, San Diego. It's Zach McKinstry season. SZN. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you?
Boring.
Zach McKinstry.
Zach McKinstry. That's our guy.
He's 28.
That's the guy we're going to roll into Dodger Stadium with saying, we're not here to mess around anymore.
That's right.
Zach, we got Zach McKinstry.
On our bench.
Wow.
We got Zach McKinstry on our bench. He was a one-war player last year. You know what that is?
Wow.
That's average. And you know what average is? Not what the Padres had off their bench last year.
Colway.
He's better than Colway.
Oh, look at that.
He's better than David
the Padres had
better than Matt Carpenter.
Well, yeah, Matt Carpenter on their bench last year and Nelson Cruz.
Precisely.
Probably cheaper.
Precisely. Last year, Bob Melvin was handcuffed by a bench that every day for 4 months, like 3 months with Cruz and Carpenter, and then the rest of the year with Carpenter, he was handcuffed by having bench members that had no positions.
Yeah, he was
couldn't put him anywhere.
It was a tough bench.
Threw Carpenter out there first base every once in a while. Chris B says Zach McKinstry rhymes with Matt Beatty. Now I don't want to make the trade anymore, Chris. You've ruined my day with that prediction. He's not coming from the Dodgers, so it's okay. You could get
Chris, it's okay.
Zach McKinstry has a future surplus value of 3.3. You could trade anything to get him. My trade today is Eggy Rosario for Zach McKinstry.
I think he'd be an okay bench guy. He would be an okay bench guy. Wait, who are you giving up?
Eggy Rosario.
Okay.
All right.
And guess what he profiles to be for the Padres?
Zach McKinstry.
A multi-position bench guy. But he's right-handed.
Okay.
And Zach McKinstry's left-handed. We need lefty bats. We need a veteran off the bench who's a lefty bat who can help the team a little more than Eggy Rosario. And I'm willing to give up the 3% chance that Eggy Rosario develops into anything more than a one-WAR player for a guy who's a guaranteed one-WAR player.
Mark Kotsay got anything left?
As manager? Just ask him in the bottle beneath his steel desk in Oakland after his 80th loss.
I would go Eggy, except for the lefty. He's a lefty, multiple positions. It's not bad. It could work.
It's not bad.
It's reasonable. They probably wouldn't mind giving him up.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's not positioned to start anywhere for Detroit. The Tigers are trying to win this year. So, I mean, they've got a reason to keep Zach McKinstry around. But last year they had to play him 400 plus at bats because they were a bad team.
Yeah.
Zach McKinstry in 150 or 250 at bats for San Diego could be okay. Now, can he hit? Not a lot. I'm not saying he's your starter.
This might be your most realistic trade scenario yet. And it's not a blockbuster trade.
Right. It's just a trade.
Most people are going to check their alert, maybe do a little Google, and then just go back to their day.
Correct.
But it could help. It could be a good bench guy. He can
play 6 positions for your team.
Oh.
He can play first, second, short, third, left, right. He's done it. He can do it. Marginal improvements matter.
Your bench guys do matter. You do need good bench guys.
Last year, the Padres had $20 million players, $30 million players, and big zeros at the bottom of their roster. A critical game they lost when Taylor Colway had to come up in a huge spot because there was no one else. Mm-hmm. Well, although probably that day Bob Melvin did have Matt Carpenter and said, no, you stay over there.
Did you
stay in the corner?
Well, that was a situation with Carpenter.
What do you know about that, Annie?
Well, I mean, it was I believe a parental dispute over how Matt Carpenter should be used, with one parent thinking one way and one parent thinking another. And Matt Carpenter being in a position and knowing he was in that position, by the way, and still showing up every day, total pro, did not talk poorly about things, but certainly was not an ideal situation. And then you have to also wonder, I mean, you can make the argument, right? Bo Mel should have played him more. Maybe, well, I know people are going to make the argument you should have played him less. But I also think he probably could have been given a chance to get to a little bit of a stride more. At the same time, your team is not doing well. You got to use your best assets. I know it's a hard one, but the internal situation of that one was not a good one.
The thing that really bothered me about that at the time was the minimizing of it in terms of who cares? It's the 26th guy on your bench. What really matters? We've got Manny, we've got Soto, we've got Tatis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just such a reductive way to think about things. When you are in a baseball front office, when you're the baseball manager, your literal job is to find every possible edge you have every day.
Yes.
In our Mike Schilt interview last week, a week ago today, he talked about pursuing those edges. In Kevin Acey's write-up about Schilt, that in AA, AAA, he would find that weakness, a pitcher that couldn't hold, a catcher that couldn't throw to first base, whatever it was, and just hammer that weakness over and over again. That's how you find the edge that gets you one more game in a 162-game season that might be the difference between making the playoffs and missing the playoffs. The Padres factually missed the playoffs by 2 games last year with a $260 million payroll. They missed by 2 games. And as much as you can say, well, point to me the game that player we don't know would have won as opposed to Matt Carpenter. Sure, you can say that, but at the same time, was there a spot where a pinch hitter could have come up or where a player who's not Matt Carpenter could have started a game that would have helped them win a game? One of those games they got shut out or held to 1 run or 2 runs. And I'm here to say the answer to that is yes. And to have a situation where the manager says, I'm not going to play this guy. Just listen, he doesn't belong on the team. He's not helping us, and I'm not going to play him. And then the GM goes, too bad. He's on your roster.
He's going to stay on your roster.
And the manager says, well, too bad. If you leave him on the roster, he's going to stay in the clubhouse every day, and he can enjoy, filling out Wordle or whatever he wants to do, but he ain't playing. And the GM says, well, too bad. Better give him a Wordle account.
And he knows. And Matt Carpenter is kind of watching it all go on and knows he's the subject of all that. And, not ideal. It's just not ideal. You don't want things operating that way.
No, it was the festering sore of the discontent between Preller and Melvin. And it literally manifested on the head of one dude.
Is Matt Carpenter on the team right now? No, he is not.
He got traded and released.
That's right.
Traded and released. Who knows what happens to Matt Carpenter? He made a lot of money.
Maybe we'll have a resurgence somewhere. He had a good year with the Yankees the year before, or a good stretch of the year.
I think he and Hosmer are starting a podcast.
There's
what's happening.
Live down the street.
Annie and Elsten on 97.3 The Fan. Ask us anything. Next. 1:00, another gorgeous San Diego Thursday afternoon, and we are psyched that you are here with us for one more hour of Annie and Elsten, your new midday hang on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Annie Heilbrunn, right there.
Hello.
I'm Craig Elsten. Braden Soprenet.
Yes, sir.
He's chilling.
Chilling.
We are happy. We are psyched. We are here. We are together all at once. We were just talking during the break. You're going to be off most of tomorrow.
Yeah.
If not all of tomorrow.
I have a next 2 weeks for me as we get ready for the Sports Association Salute to Champions event is a mess. And I will be here very intermittently, which is unfortunate when you start a new show in your namesake and then you're like, peace out, guys. That's not ideal in any way. But I know you guys are going to do a great job. I hope to be able to call in as often as I can. Maybe even, we were talking about it, maybe even figure out a way to get my presence on the YouTube stream or all that stuff. So we'll figure something out, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks, and just how it's got to go. Got to get through this stretch.
This too shall pass.
And then when I come back, it's going to be like right leading into spring training, and because our event is February 5th, and then it's like go time for the season, which is going to be so fun.
It's going to be a gas. We will get through the days you can't be here, Annie. We won't be as happy. Won't be as fun.
I won't either. I'll miss you guys.
But we'll make it through. We'll figure it out.
You'll hate me by the time I come back.
We'll make it through the rain.
You will leave here every day going, Annie, Annie.
Not like that. How am I like that? I'm not like that.
No, but just, it's like you're like, what is going on? Why am I left here holding the pieces?
We play in the toy box every day. We literally get to come to work. I get to wear a boutique t-shirt every day. Today, shout out Bridge Barcata, our street soccer unit here in town. And we get to talk about the Padres, and we get to talk about sports, and we get to invite you to ask us anything. I mean, it's a fun time here at 97.3 The Fan.
Anything.
And here we go. We're going to do it. We're going to do it right now. We're doing it live. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
We're going to do it live. It's Ask Us Anything. We usually close the segment with this show. However, Ryan Horvat, Audacy's betting insider, is joining us for the last segment of today's show for his regularly scheduled appearance. So let's push it up. Here's your chance to ask this show whatever you want. We are a new show. We're in our second full week together. We don't know each other completely to that level of depth that people like Gwen and Chris coming up do, or folks like Ben and Woods and Paulie do, because they've worked together day after day for years. We've worked together day after day for weeks, except Annie's sometimes not here.
Yeah, I'm not even here half the time. No, that's not true. I'm not here some of the time.
So with that, let's all get to know each other just a little bit better. Why don't we? Open up the phones. Here we go. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Call us up. Ask us anything. It can be about sports. It's better if it's not, I think.
I saw one a few weeks. I was going to say a few weeks ago, but we've only been here for a few weeks.
About a week ago.
Last week, that was, about a week ago. What is your cocktail of choice?
Oh, I did see that one.
Yeah,
that
was a good one.
It's a good icebreaker.
Right? I mean, we're
Or
not
ice
promoting,
melter.
but if you're out there enjoying a social sparkler,
We picking cocktail, or what are we doing? Is it Ben's?
Cocktails.
it's cocktails.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cocktails.
So I would go margarita, or I like a cucumber martini.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that?
A cucumber martini.
A cucumber,
so that's what,
pomegranate.
gin, vermouth,
I don't
cucumber
know.
juice?
It's like cucumber. It's very hydrating.
I
It's
got to fill in
refreshing.
on the martinis now, because my sister's a big dirty martini fan
Hmm.
with blue cheese olives. But apparently, we went down to the Marine Room for like a family dinner during the Christmas time, like a nice family dinner. And the bartender down there said, like, most people prefer, it's like the trend now is they're not putting the vermouth in martinis anymore because people don't like it. So
Interesting.
that's a new wave of martinis now, I guess, is the sweet vermouth is being
Left
taken
out.
Yes, that people prefer it that way. So now
I could
he
see
has
that.
he has to ask now if you want it in there, and most people say no.
Interesting.
I could see that.
I'll let you screen a couple calls. I'll give my answer.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go two ways on this.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna go fancy night out versus normal night out.
I think that's a very big factor in this, as well as the time of the year. I think is another big factor.
Sure. So, steak dinner, celebration, fancy night out.
Mhm.
I'm going straight Don Draper, Annie. We're going to the old fashioned,
A classic.
an absolute classic. We're gonna go old fashioned, the bourbon if possible. You know, sometimes you can only get the whiskey. I'll go for the bourbon. There, it's it's got that weird orange look to it. Usually has a little orange peel on the side, but when it's well done, it's very, very well done. It's a classic sipping cocktail.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. That's mine too.
It's cultural. It's there's some culture to it.
That's mine during the winter months.
Okay.
The winter months is an old fashioned. I can't have an old fashioned in the middle of summer. At least in San Diego.
Too heavy.
I mean, you can if you go out to a nice restaurant, like Craig's saying, but during the summertime, I've been doing the Mai Tais a lot during the summertime. I do like a nice Mai Tai.
That's
even though it's very
dangerous.
sugary and it's very dangerous. I'm not talking about going down to Bali High or Tom's Lighthouse.
Bali High. You would be dragging me off the streets there.
You're only allowed to get 2 nowadays.
Well, thank goodness.
I know somebody that said before they had the rule, managed to down 7. And
the next day?
Not even the next day. Somehow he ended up throwing up in a ball pit at McDonald's. I don't know how that was humanly possible. It's a hell of a story that I don't have all the details on, but 7 of those things is crazy. I went down there. I just kept hearing the stories about it. So my dad took us, all the drinking age kids now, down to Bali High to try it. I couldn't even make it through this much on YouTube, as you can see, without it just being like, this does not taste very good. It's just all gasoline in a cauldron. And then I think they give you like pineapple juice or some type of juice that I forget to like try to water it down. And it didn't help at all. It did not help at all. I don't know how people can drink those. But I like Mai Tais during the summertime. I like old fashions during the wintertime.
So my grinder cocktail, everyday use, not that I drink every day, but you know what I'm saying? Like you're just out, it's not a special night. It's not a steak
you're just out with your buddies.
Yeah, you're just, it's bottle rocket and you're getting ready to go to the game or it's after the game or whatever. That for me, every time, Jameson and ginger ale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've
Jameson and
never
ginger
tried
ale.
that.
Oh, whiskey gingers are good. I like having those too.
Delicious.
Those are usually like my go-to on if you ever like go to some type of party, right? Like a company party or like they hire a bartender. That's like the easy one. Or if somebody like goes, oh, what do you want to drink? I'm not going to make the host at the house make me an old fashioned.
Right.
It's like, hey, whiskey ginger. That's a simple one. I agree with that as well. You got great alcohol taste there, Craig.
Thank you very much, Brayden. I appreciate
so
that.
refined.
It's a very simple drink. First,
it's great.
JMO is my go-to generally, although I like most single malts. If you want to be fancy and give me a 12, 15-year age single malt, I mean, I'll drink that neat. I'll take that neat. I'll take that with no added anything, no ice, no nothing. But if you're just talking about a grinder drink, and I'll say, give me a single port tall. That's what I'll usually do is I'll say, give me the single shot, but instead of putting it in a tiny, like 6-ounce or 8-ounce glass, give me the full pint and just pump the rest of that thing with ginger ale. And that's a nice, refreshing, cool drink. Nice taste to it. Got the ginger taste to it. And then you get get the little whiskey kick at the end.
A couple people weigh in on that texted me. Said Palomas. It's very popular right now.
Those are resurged.
My parents are loving the Palomas right now. That's their little kick. At this point, they're not the ones that texted me during this, but a Paloma is very popular right about now too.
Go down to Tijuana. Go to Estadio Caliente. For a Xolos match, and maybe go to the racetrack before, which is the casino and racetrack before, which is right across the street, literally, from Estadio Caliente. And you're out on that back patio, and they are selling $5 dobles. $5 dobles. They're pouring in the tequila, and they're not too fancy on the grapefruit side of the Paloma there, B-Serp. It's squirt. They just open up a can of squirt.
The opposite of Bally High and Tom's Lighthouse.
Exactly. It's just pour some tequila and some squirt in there.
Oh, man.
I'm fine with that as a Paloma. That's a good Paloma for me.
You mentioned like the pre-game and stuff like that for like Padres and stuff down the gas. I usually just stick to beer in those kind of situations. The lightest beer possible. I can't be down in the craft IPAs before a Padre game. That's just not my style. Although at the ballpark, nice old 394 hazy is pretty good. We talked about the Alpine Duet last time as well. It's pretty good stuff. But I like sometimes if I'm going to be drinking a couple of those things, I try to stick to the lightest as possible because that stuff gets heavy in your stomach real quick.
All of that is completely fair, unless number 44 is on the mound, in which case you should be seeking out a resident No Joe.
That's right.
Which is an 8% beer, so it's a whammer.
Do you have a favorite Mexican beer?
Good question. I'll go Modelo Especial.
I love Pacificos. Those are good. That's probably my favorite Mexican beer, the Pacifico. Good stuff.
I celebrate all of these alcoholic choices that we've made on the show. Thirsty now. It's only 1:11. It is 5 o'clock somewhere.
I knew
That's
that
what
was
they
coming.
say. That is what they say.
Somewhere off the Atlantic coast.
I knew that was
Maybe
coming.
Nova Scotia? Is Nova Scotia
Craig,
4
dad
hours ahead?
joke, Elsten in the house.
All right. What else do we got? What else do we got? Ask us anything.
I did like the drink one was good. I remember seeing that a couple of, I think last week. Annie, it's a good call.
Steve asks, can Annie play outfield?
Not well, but I'll give it a shot.
Brandon asks, is Annie going to be traveling with the team this season like Tony does and doing the show remote?
Probably.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't think that is the case.
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, like, what are you just going around? Just flying around with him?
I think he's probably referring to the broadcast. We'll have to touch on that.
Annie,
another day, Tony.
Did you play any other sports in high school besides dance?
I did cheer.
Oh, nice.
Dance and cheer.
For the Norsemen.
Yeah, Norsemen. Dance and cheer. I was big into dance. I was doing like the competitive dance thing every day.
To participate in like the all the big dance. I remember when my sister danced, the best dance competition that I got dragged to was the Showstoppers one at Disneyland. It was awesome.
Huge.
That was the best one. And she and her dance group actually were pretty good. In fact, one of them, Skylar, who was that does stuff, they used to do stuff for us, who works in the building. She actually was on my sister's like big production team from San Diego Dance Center, and they did a routine to Ballroom Blitz that was pretty spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was tap dance that they did, and they took home probably the biggest trophy I've ever seen in my entire life at Disneyland. But it was great because I'd go up there. I'd usually get to bring a buddy. We'd stay at Disneyland for like 4 days when I was a kid, go to the park, and then my mom, right around I got a phone, she would text me like Sid's on in 3, and so we'd sprint from wherever we were in the park to the Disneyland hotel to watch Sid dance, and then we'd go back to the park. It was pretty fun.
Brayden and I grew up in the same world of that.
Absolutely.
Yes,
The dance competitions.
It's a whole culture world.
Which I liked more than recitals.
But
I was
need
super
more
into the
information.
competition.
I need more info. When you're saying competitive dance, is this a team or is this individually?
Both.
Yeah, it's so you do solos,
trios,
you do duos, trios, and then you do group dances.
Small group, large group.
Tap, jazz, hip hop.
I was just gonna now. What are we talking about? Genre.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
And then I taught for many years. So like, in fact, when we were at the other station of the great Ben and Wood show, he was an intern at the time, and one of my first assignments there, I guess, because I worked there for a little short stint, very short, was I had to teach them a dance and choreograph it for the interns there. Polly was part of it. Yeah.
really?
I don't know if we have video of this.
What genre did you do?
I think we just did like a very safe, very safe hip hop light kind of thing. All right. I can't exactly remember, but yeah, I taught for many years. That was like, dance was life. Dance is life.
What was your top genres? Because my sister was, she
tap
did
it.
dap, she did tap, she did jazz, And she did like very limited hip hop, but that was kind of that was more of a high school thing for Cathedral's dance team.
Like any ballroom? Are you doing
tap and hip hop?
Doing any of that?
No, but it's funny you suggest that. And for the salespeople listening, I would love to learn ballroom, salsa, different kind of styles like that. No, I stayed in the realm of like the tap, jazz, hip hop, ballet, things like that. But
Do those go in the same bucket? Tap, jazz, and hip hop?
No, I mean ballet you just did for technique.
Okay.
You didn't like compete in that.
I feel like hip hop and jazz would be on opposite ends of the floor, not wanting to talk to one another.
Oh no, you have
it's
to
very
be
similar stuff.
Yeah. Well, and you have to be very well rounded.
Okay.
My favorite to watch was the tap. The tap was good, and her teacher at SDDC her name was Miss Sharon, I guess.
Yeah, I had Miss Sharon.
Right. She also taught my mom, and the girls that she had that she taught tap to were phenomenal. In fact, I think it was kind of cool like for a while because a lot of them went to Cathedral, and like Westview had a really good dance program, and they all fed out of SDDC. But I think most of the girls that my sister danced with, either in high school or from SDDC, ended up dancing at their universities on the dance team. We had a couple at TCU, which was cool. My sister danced at High Point. There was one at Utah. And in fact, one of the girls that I actually went to K through 8th grade with, she ended up dancing at Del Norte. She was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader and like front and center for them for like 5 years. Yeah, she was like, and I remember I went to a Cowboys game and I was like, oh, I know one of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. My buddy's like, which one? I was like, the one at the point right there in the front that the camera's on. Gina was the Cowboy, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader out of that whole thing. All taught by Miss Sharon.
All right, let's knock out a couple more Ask Us Anything questions. We got some good ones in the YouTube chat. Kyle Montgomery asks, favorite non-Hall of Fame closer in Padres history?
Fernando Rodney.
I think I would go to Fernando Rodney too.
Really?
I can't.
He was just in the news recently about playing until he's 50. He wants to play till he's 50 in some league. Obviously, not just the pros.
At some point, they'll let him know.
Yeah.
It's not
they always do let you know. What's yours on there, Craig?
This is an easy answer for me. The answer is 2003 Rod Beck.
Oh, I wouldn't think of that. See, because my knowledge is
in 2003.
Not there.
Ben will remember this so well. This was our last year with the games on Kogo before they moved over to 1090. Our last year doing pre and post. Okay. And that 2003 season was uniquely horrible. Like it was
the worst season they had ever, right?
It was the worst record year. So bad. They lost 98 games. In the middle of the summer, Detroit, which was on a 120 loss pace, came to town and won the series over San Diego. And we were like, this is the absolute low point for Padres baseball. This was the year that in the spring, Trevor Hoffman had a procedure to shave down the bone in his shoulder. And he was out the whole year. And the season started with Bruce Bochy giving the ball in the 9th inning to two guys, Brandon Villaferde and Jarrett Wright. Jarrett Wright, who Indians fans remembered pitched in the World Series for them, and at one point was thought to be a prospect, and maybe a closing prospect, maybe a starting prospect. But Brandon Villaferde is the guy no one remembers except me and the Villaferde family. He thought he was going to have a 40 save season. I think he had like a 2 or 3 save season. He was terrible. Jarrett Wright was awful. And Rod Beck was pitching for the Cubs AAA Iowa franchise, living in an RV behind center field.
Nice.
I mean, you can look this up, guys. I feel like I'm telling a story here, but this is a 100% true story. Rod Beck was playing for the AAA Iowa Cubs. He was living in an RV outside center field. He would finish the game, go to his RV with Iowa Cubs fans, crack some beers, and just like chill and talk.
Well,
closers are crazy.
Pitchers.
Super Bull Durham. And Kevin Towers, completely desperate, called on Rod Beck and signed him to a contract for the rest of the season.
Wow.
And Rod Beck came to the Padres throwing 82 miles an hour. He had a fastball at 82.
Oh, God.
And he had a split, a change, and he had guts. He had guts. Rod Beck is the greatest closer in Padres history when you take out sample size. He went 20 for 20 as the closer of the 2003 Padres, a team that lost 98 games. But he went 20 for 20. And in a very famous game that I tried to find the video of on YouTube, and I cannot, he struck out Barry Bonds, 2003 Barry Bonds, who had like a 550 on base percentage and an 800 slugging percentage. He struck him out with that 82 mile an hour cheese. He threw it past Barry Bonds.
That is a great story. That is a story that in this day of social media and things like that, you couldn't do that. But when you're hanging in the motorhome with fans after the game and you just don't care, you have that mentality. Throw me on the mound. I'm good. Don't worry about it.
Rod was so out of shape.
He doesn't care.
So if you remember Rod Beck, and this is better for the YouTube, he would crouch in from the stretch and he would pump his arm back and forth. He'd pump it back and forth underneath the shoulder, back and forth. It was almost like going to the well. Like he had to pump that well to find every mile per hour in there. And after about 8 or 10 pitches for the Padres, every single time his hat would be so soaked through that as he bent over and pumped that arm back and forth, drip, 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 drip.
He was probably hung over on the mound
would literally be dripping sweat we're like 8 pitches into a 16 pitch outing, and cap is dripping. My fantasy team for 5 years has been named Rod Beck's dripping cap. Like it's for this magical time this summer that he went 20 for 20. He struck out he got through every save unscathed and he couldn't break 85.
I would love to know where Rod Beck is now. What is he doing now?
He's dead.
Oh, okay. Well, RIP Rod Beck.
Wasn't too much longer.
Okay.
It wasn't too much longer after.
It's like Angels in the Outfield.
It's more like Eastbound and Down.
Great story, though. And also Heath Bell. How could I forget Heath Bell? Come on.
Heath Bell used to play softball at the Poway Sportsplex. It was cool seeing him and oh man, I'm blanking on his name. Brett Tomko were on the same team, and they were hilarious to watch play. And we played against them. And I tagged up on Heath Bell one time at third base. Ball was hit to center field. He caught it at the fence, catch and throw. I beat it by like a half a step on like 70-foot bases. His cannon that he showed off in center field. Plus, of course, his legendary moment in the All-Star game, which was just priceless.
Yeah.
Heath Bell.
The way he runs the mound.
Rod Beck died in 2007. 2007. So he pitched 03, 20 saves, 1.78 ERA, 3 wins, 20 for 20. The next year he came back. He pitched 26 games for the Padres, a 6.38 ERA. That was it. He was done, and he was literally dead 3 years later.
How old was he when he died?
38.
Okay, died young, but I am guessing that those 38 years of life held a lot of life inside of them for Rod Beck. Probably someone who seized many moments and opportunities.
Shooter.
Yeah.
Rod
Shoot
Beck.
your shot.
Shooter shoots. Shooter shot is shot. It's my favorite non-Hall of Fame Padres closer.
That's a great one.
Of all time. And that's Ask Us Anything for a Thursday. Do it again tomorrow, but Annie may not be here. But you can still ask us anything.
Just not me.
I mean, you could ask her.
Yeah. We'll text it to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have her number. We could pass it along.
Don't pass it along though.
Not your number, the questions. Not your number.
Calm down here.
Just the questions.
All right.
Just the questions. Don't worry. We got you covered. Man.
People are going to start sending me trade scenarios if you do that. Be like, listen, I was thinking.
Just improving your life, giving you more creativity. I don't
Annie's
see what's
DMs
wrong with
are open just for trades.
Yeah, just for trades. I won't ever send it to my IG because I've already told you I never look at those hardly ever. So send me all your trade scenarios to IG.
All right, we've got something really fun for you when we come back. This is our version of Chris and Gwen's Rate the Call. Okay, we've got one great call. and one very funny, not great call from the world of sports. We are bringing those both to you next. Audio, you've got to hear. Video, if you're on YouTube, you'll want to see on Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station. It's 97.3 The Fan.
NFL games, analysis from Boomer, picks from Mike, the biggest stories in the league packed into an hour. Friday nights at 7 p.m. here on 97.3 The Fan and always live on the free Audacy app. Presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos, brought to you by those who drink it, and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement.
Casamigos. Brought to you by me, because I drink it. With Squirt. It's delicious. Okay, quick segment here. We've got Ryan Horvat coming up. At the end of this segment, we're going to be giving away tickets to see UC San Diego in action. Can't wait for that. Coming up at Lion Tree Arena, Saturday's UCSD Hawaii basketball game. Grab tickets at ucsdtritons.com. You'll have to decide which of these two calls you like better. And the fifth person that tells Braden which call they like better will win the tickets. I'm going to start with last night's Sockers match. Sockers at Ontario's Empire Strikers at Toyota Arena. This was the best goal scored in soccer in 2024 so far. Those on YouTube will be able to see it. You will hear Christian Philly Filliman and Jonathan Reimer on MASL TV.
Pressure on Gomez. Whoa! Oh my Lord! That has to not only be the goal of the game, the goal of the week, possibly the goal of the season. Escoto with the bike. Oh, Dios mío, what a golazo. Doctor, walk us through.
Oh, someone get the estate of Freddie Mercury on the phone, because we got a man here who wants to ride his bicycle. A bicycle kick from outside the yellow line. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Que golazo! Que golazo!
I'm dumbfounded by the beauty of that goal and obviously the confidence that Churras had. I'm perplexed. We've seen.
I don't know how you do that.
I'm perplexed. That's a great call. I mean, honestly, people like Ben was like, "Oh, I wish you would have called that goal." I would have been in the exact same mind space as Philly in the dock right there. Of how do you explain what this man just decided to do on an athletic field? To go for a bike from 30 yards out, straight away, off-footed.
And nail it.
Just smoke it.
It was a great call, though. I like that call.
As Elisa said, your lower discs in your back hurt just watching. Like, you know, when you make that shot, you're going to fall straight on your spine. Incredible. So, Philly in the dock. That's a great one. But maybe this one's better. I unfortunately don't know this announcer's name. He's probably happier that way. I don't know. But this is a call courtesy of John Boy Media. It's not them. They just found it. They aggregated it.
Thank you, John Boy.
Of a youth hockey live stream gone extremely wrong.
The rush. Pulls it back there, and now Murphy. Murphy throws the pass across. And that puck's going to go out of play here, and that's going to do it for that sequence right there. 9:25 left. I apologize if I just damaged your eardrums there. It went right over the mesh, right over my head. So I apologize for that. I'm sorry. Everyone's few people look at me. I'm fine. I'm fine. Oh my God! I apologize for that one right there, and for saying "oh my God," I shouldn't be saying that. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm just trying to catch my breath here. Okay. All right. As we're back to this thing, rush here with it.
I love this guy. I'm rooting for him.
That can't be real.
It's like when I see a spider.
I'm so sorry.
I'm okay.
My God. I shouldn't be saying, "oh my God." I'm sorry for saying, "oh my God."
Sometimes baseballs go right into Don and Muds or Tony and Jesse whizzing past them, and you got to hold it together. That's a tough thing to do.
No lie, a hockey puck can break your face and kill you.
Hit you in the temple and kill you.
And if it came at me at any speed,
I would freak out.
I would be completely terrified. Now, Diesel says, "Please, nobody mate with this dude and weaken the human race."
Diesel. He's just
Diesel.
having a rough
Ouch.
day.
Wow.
Ouch.
That's for the top rope right there.
Look, there was a lot of honesty in that call.
Yes. He needs a little maybe a mental health day, maybe a day where you just go out and you put your toes in the sand, you enjoy the water, everything's cool, everything's all right. I'm going to go back in the booth tomorrow.
Touch grass,
hug a tree,
not ice. Definitely don't touch ice.
Apologized so many times.
So
oh,
funny.
Poor guy.
He's hyperventilating through the call, and then he's just like, back to Rush.
Yeah. And there goes Nick Castellanos with a deep drive to remind me of.
Which one of those calls did you like better? 833-288-0973. Let Braden know. 833-288-0973. Fifth person who does so wins tickets to UC San Diego, Hawaii this Saturday at Lion Tree Arena. All right, we're going to take our last break. We're going to come back. Ryan Horvat, NFL betting insider. See if we can make you some money on the way out before we get to Gwen and Chris at 2 o'clock. Danny and Elsten on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Gwen and Chris on The Fan.
They didn't have Debo. They didn't have McCaffrey. They didn't have Trent Williams. They lost them all.
Hold on. Chris, I came to your rescue last segment with the Dolphins. I said I felt bad for you. I have yet to make fun of the Dolphins once today.
Well, you can't kick a porpoise when it's down.
you haven't met this guy. You haven't met this guy.
I will kick every porpoise that is down.
Yeah.
Listen to Gwen and Chris weekdays from 2 to 6 on 97.3 The Fan.
Spectrum Business is made to work like your small business, made to do it all with fast, ultra-reliable internet, phone, and mobile services, and made to work with a small business budget. Get 300 megabit per second business internet for just $39.99 a month for 1 year with select bundles. Plus, get an unlimited mobile line for free. Visit spectrum.com/work to lock in this deal now. Learn more at spectrum.com/work. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
My parents' health? Of course it's a priority, but they've already had COVID-19, so talking about the new vaccine doesn't feel as urgent.
The fact is, 75% of COVID-19 deaths are still those over 65. We know it's hard, but it's important to talk to your loved ones about the updated COVID-19 vaccine. Even if they've had COVID, the updated vaccine offers added protection. Get the facts at worththeshot.org. That's worththeshot.org. Shared by the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. New year. Time to get credit card debt-free. Wipe it all out. You can do it now with Loan Pronto. It is your old pal Woods. And I've been telling you, rates are down. It is a great time to use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Imagine getting $50, $75, even $200,000 from your home's equity in as little as 5 days. You can leave your main mortgage intact and just take out the cash you need. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards, pay off personal loans, or start that home improvement project today. And with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line program, 90% of the time, there's no need for an appraisal, and you can access up to 95% of your home's value. Do not put it off. Start the new year off right. Get on solid financial ground with a cash infusion to pay off all those cards and lower your monthly payments big time. 619-207-4336. Once again, 619-207-4336, or go to loanpronto.com. Call 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
More Padres baseball conversation with Annie and Elsten in just 2 minutes on 97.3 The Fan.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's always baseball season on 97.3 The Fan. Listen to your favorite sports station on the go using the free Audacy app. Download it today.
Different ways we package the content for you here at Audacy. So you could go back and just listen to the show on the Audacy app, where you could rewind, where the show is chaptered out.
Be kind, rewind.
We talked about VHS tapes last week, I think.
Rewind and listen.
We got Ryan.
All right, great. You can do that. You can go to the YouTube channel, where all of our shows are archived as well, and also on every major podcast platform or podcast platform. You can find us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, et cetera. Just search for Annie and Elsten, and you can find the show. All right. Let's wrap things up in style, as we like to do on Thursdays. On the line is the host of BetMGM tonight and Audacy sports betting insider Ryan Horvat. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all. Oh, he hung up.
It hung up.
Can I still read the liner?
You still can, but I don't want you to throw to somebody that's not there.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to finish the liner. That way, when he comes back, I don't have to say it again. Go check out all of the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also, be sure to listen to the BetMGM Tonight podcast for more of Ryan Horvat analysis, or in this case, all of his analysis, because he's not here right now. Just search BetMGM wherever you find your podcasts. He's coming back.
Maybe.
No, he's right there. I see him.
Oh, okay.
I see him. He'll be on the line. Momentarily, he'll be on the show. Moments after that, you will be receiving hot sports handicapping knowledge.
That's going to help you for the games upcoming this weekend.
Theoretically. Ryan, how are you, man? Annie and Elsten here in San Diego.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Doing great. I wish I was in your guys' area, to be honest with you, though, because we got hit with some weather here on the East Coast. I grew up in Chicago, so I'm used to it. But here, if you get 2 to 3 inches of snow, they're not really they're not prepared here in Washington, D.C. It's funny, the last time it snowed was actually 2 years ago. It was my first year that I moved here, and I drove into work, and I thought everybody was crazy because there was only 2 inches on the ground, and I'm used to driving in like 9 inches to a foot of snow back home. And you realize, though, you're prepared for that in the Midwest or in Chicago, not so much here on the East Coast. So it's been an interesting couple of days, and I think we'll see that in some of these games coming up this weekend too.
Equally here, when 2 or 3 inches of snow drop, we do not know how to handle it.
I was going to say, Ryan, when it rains here, that's what we do.
Yeah, more
no
like
one knows how to
quarter
drive
to
or
a
get
half
around.
inch of rain. That is the San Diego equivalent.
So we feel
Ryan.
for you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to the big games. Obviously, it's divisional weekend in the NFL. This is where the money is going to be for the most part for folks who are in Vegas or betting on their apps worldwide. Of these 4 games, your closest spread is Kansas City Buffalo. I would assume that is not your favorite play, though, from the weekend.
Yeah, and it's funny because usually divisional weekends, one of my favorite weekends of the year, because we get the good matchups, the matchups that we've been waiting. That's the only game we didn't see in the regular season. But, usually these point spreads are really close. And this weekend, man, we almost have a couple double-digit favorites. So, I do like Kansas City just because anytime you're going to give me Patrick Mahomes as a 3-point underdog, I have to take Patrick Mahomes as a 3-point underdog. In my opinion, he's the best quarterback in the league. The reason he's a dog in this game, or the Chiefs are a dog in this game, I should say, is because they lead the league in drops. Travis Kelce looks like this could be his last year. Maybe he's got one more year left in him. And their best wide receiver is a rookie in Rashee Rice. But he was really good. He caught 7 balls. Travis Kelce was pretty good last week. And they have a really good defense, the Chiefs do. And until the Bills actually prove to me that they could beat Kansas City in the playoffs, I'm going to continue to back Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. But my favorite game of the week is actually the San Francisco 49ers. And even though I grew up in Chicago, I'm actually a Packer fan. I just think this is a really bad matchup. I liked the matchup last week against Dallas because, Dallas had a really good pass rush, but their secondary wasn't very good. And although they had a good pass rush, Green Bay had a really good offensive line, has a really good offensive line. They're really good in pass protection, number 2 in the league. So Jordan Love had a ton of time in the pocket. So this week, though, I just don't think that we're going to get that same matchup, though. San Francisco's defense is really good. Their pass rushes with Nick Bosa and Chase Young. And on the defensive side of the ball for Green Bay, their coordinator, Joe Barry's had some really bad performances this season. He allowed Bryce Young, who's a rookie, to have his first 300-yard passing game. Baker Mayfield had a perfect QB rating on the road at Lambeau Field. So I just think that Brock Purdy and that offense, they're going to be too strong. I really like the player prop for George Kittle, over 51.5 receiving yards. Green Bay really struggles to defend tight ends. We even saw that in the win against Dallas. Their tight end, Jake Ferguson, had 10 receptions and 3 touchdowns. So I think George Kittle is going to have a big game. And I think my favorite play would have to be the San Francisco 49ers. Right now, 9.5-point favorites over Green Bay.
I'm with you on backing Patrick Mahomes as the underdog. So much is being made of this being his first road game in the playoffs. What impact, if at all, do you think that will have?
Yeah, usually, with quarterbacks, for example, I like the Ravens because it's C.J. Stroud, who's a rookie, and he's making his first road playoff start, right? I mean, he was at home last week, and he was great. But when you're Patrick Mahomes and you have this kind of experience, I don't know if it's going to be that big of a deal. For any other quarterback, I feel like it would. Obviously, Mahomes is much better at Arrowhead. They have a real home field advantage, as we saw last week. But he's done it all. He's won 2 Super Bowls already. He's won some big road games just in the regular season, not in the playoffs so far. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a factor. But if that's any other quarterback like C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love this weekend, then I think that it's a pretty big deal because especially in the playoffs, those crowds are electric. And a lot of times you'll have to see the quarterbacks go with a silent count because they can't even get the play call in because it's so loud when they're on offense. But with Patrick Mahomes, I think they'll be well prepared. The other thing he has going for him is Andy Reid, I think, is the best coach and the best play caller in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're swinging around the NFL games with Ryan Horvat, our Audacy betting insider right now on Annie and Elsten. And I look over at the other number 1 seed, Baltimore. They are also near double-digit favorite against Houston. Texans obviously had a wonderful performance at home. Stroud was incredible. They poured the points on the board. I was just looking up during your answer, the Baltimore weather report. It looks like it'll be cold, but they're not expecting necessarily snow for the game. I'm looking at the over-under here, 43.5, and I feel like I'm liking the over there. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, what's funny? I played the under. So this total opened at 46.5, and initially the weather, and I'm about 20 minutes from the stadium where I live, it looked like we were going to have really strong winds. And that's usually when I like an under. It's not so much about the snow. It's not so much rain. It's always the wind, though, especially if you have 2 passing attacks like you're going to have here. Lamar Jackson's been really good this season. He's definitely going to win the MVP. And C.J. Stroud and the Texans, they really rely on their pass game. They're not the strongest run team. So if we get the wins, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. But right now, the weather, not as bad as we initially prepared for. So at 43.5, I'm with you. I might have to play the over if the weather does hold off, just because Baltimore right now, it looks like, in fact, they're going to be without their best corner in Marlon Humphrey. And the Texans, they could push the ball down the field. And the Ravens, if you look at point differential, they're the number 1 team in the league the first 3 quarters of games. They could run the ball. They could throw the ball. Lamar Jackson, like I said, is going to be the MVP. So if we don't get the wins, I like the over at 43.5. That's one of the games where you really have to prepare for the weather because you never know what you're going to get.
Taking it a little away from the games that are upcoming this weekend, we saw that Jerry Jones already announced that Mike McCarthy will return to the Cowboys. When you look at this head coaching carousel and all the coaches that are available, what are the odds? Where would you place some of these coaches with certain teams?
Yeah, and it's so funny because that you can, just that you could bet on these type of things.
Yes.
But Bill Belichick is a huge favorite right now. I think minus 150. So to win $100, you would actually have to lay 150. Not great odds to become the next head coach in Atlanta, which I can't believe. Atlanta, I guess it makes some sense because defensively they haven't been very strong the last couple of years. They spent a ton of money last year in free agency. I believe the fourth most on the defensive side of the ball. But when I think Atlanta, I think they need an offensive mind. I know that they tried that with Art Smith, and he wasn't the answer. But I think his problem was they just didn't have the quarterback. They tried with Desmond Ridder and they tried with Heineke, who's a career backup. I think they need to draft somebody, or they have to go out there and get themselves like a Justin Fields. But he's the heavy favorite to land in Atlanta. And then Jim Harbaugh right now is the heavy favorite to land in Los Angeles, coaching the Chargers, which I think makes complete sense. I don't know that I would love Harbaugh with the young team, but I would love Harbaugh for the next 5 to 8 years with Justin Herbert, who just needs, a coaching staff, in my opinion. I do this every year with the Chargers. I bet them to win the Super Bowl ever since Phillip Rivers was the starting quarterback. Actually, to be honest with you, ever since Drew Brees was the starting quarterback. And every year they have the talent. And, I finally bought in again last year because they spent so much money on defense. It was J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack. And I really do like Joey Bosa when he's on the field, which is not a whole lot. But I think they got to get the right guys there. So if Harbaugh goes there and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams could stay healthy for an entire season, maybe this is their year. So Harbaugh to the Chargers, and it looks like Bill Belichick to Atlanta, which I still can't believe.
Well, Ryan, this is exactly how we'll finish the show the same way we started it. There's no such thing as a sports curse. There are just bad owners. And that is my Chargers take for you. Ryan, thanks so much. We'll chat with you next week.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Enjoy the games this weekend.
That was the host of BetMGM Tonight and Audacy sports betting insider Ryan Horvat. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Annie, great job.
He's one of those.
He's
Looks
one
at
of
the
those.
Chargers every year, picks them to win the Super Bowl. I never knew this about Ryan.
Just like Gwen and Chris, they're on next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, it's been a